Ladies and gentlemen, black helicopters have been spotted. And it is Friday night, so it must be time for another edition of the X-Files, even though we were absent last week, kinda. I mean, we were here, but we weren't talking about the X-Files. So
that's right.
I'm excited because this is the first time in a while that I've gone back and watched basically an entire season again. And Jesus Christ, there's a lot of episodes in this season too. So,
oh yeah,
this is very mixed bag in terms of people's reaction to this season. By the way, there's some people that say that it's a great season, the best season maybe even, and then there's some people that do not like the fact that Mulder was absent throughout most of the season, and that it's a lot of Doggett and Scully stuff. With Monica Reyes coming in at the very end to do absolutely nothing, as usual.
Hey,
she's in that one. I was so pissed off at that one episode where she's trying to help Doggett, like find, like the guy that supposedly killed his son or whatever, and she's just like,
right.
She's so annoying, man, because she has she has like a split second psychic vision or something, and then she's like, I don't know what it means. I can't do anything with it.
There's the connection there, though. She's got a vision.
Oh God.
Yeah, she's very I agree. She's just, oh my God, just base parts of your body's itch that you don't want to itch. Just I don't remember disliking her back in the day. Watching it again, it's not the actress, it's just the way the character's written, and I don't think she needed to be in there. I hated that character, and that's even worse in season 9. I wish he was rather Scully and Dog or Dog by himself and be Dog's version of Kolchak the Night Stalker. I'd rather be something else than that, but we'll get to that.
She's better than Agent Harrison.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Who comes in at the end of season 8?
Yeah,
gets taken out in the same episode, pretty much.
For good reason.
There is a lot of moving parts to this season. Well, a lot of stuff with the mythology.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, when you first saw us back in the day, because this will be the introduction of Agent Doggett in the first episode of season 8, what was your initial reaction? Because for those who don't know, there are other people up for the role. There was Bruce Campbell up for the role.
Lou Diamond Phillips.
That would have been awesome.
I would love that LDP for Alive. Come on, First Power. You changed that. It could be an X-Files episode.
It really
the psychic lady. Mm-hmm. And LDP could be Doggett. I mean, that could be season 9 episode X-Files, the First Power.
Yep.
First Power is better than season 9, in my opinion. But we'll get to that. But Robert Patrick, I thought, really did a great job. So what was your initial thought when Mulder's going to be gone and there's this new guy? This before you knew how the season would end up. What was your first initial reaction? Was it hesitation? Was it, I don't know about this. This is what's going to jump the shark. Like, if you can remember, because it's pretty far back.
I probably had the same reaction Scully does. Like, she throws water in his face. It's like,
yeah.
We don't want you. We want Mulder. But I was sold on him by the second episode. So
that's the thing I remember about this season the most when it was first on, is just like everybody was waiting to see when Mulder would come back. Like, that was the main thing. Like, there wasn't really they weren't really paying that much attention to Doggett. Honestly, it was just all about that particular storyline. Because they knew you knew he was going to come back, but you didn't know exactly when or anything like that. And I give him credit because the first couple of episodes kind of teased that, and then they completely shit on it, which is kind of great.
Yeah.
But that was the main thing for that season, was just his kind of disappearance and them trying to find him and him finally showing up at the end. As far as looking back on it now, though, I think that he did as good of a job as anybody could have in that role. Really, I
Mhm.
mean, he was outstanding. I thought like throughout the entire season.
Definitely.
He's my favorite part of this season. I
Yeah.
mean, because I like him as an actor.
Yeah.
I mean, I
His-
even played a
yeah.
video game recently called The Dig, which was a Steven Spielberg point and click game, and he was the main voice in it. And
No, I'm still here.
oh, you asked, I guess. So when you first saw it, Aaron, were you hesitant, or you're like, "We'll see how this goes," or did you watch this when it came out initially this season? Back
What
in the
was it?
day,
Back in the day?
back in the day, did you first see this when it aired, and when it happened?
Yes,
Were you
some
like
of it.
unsure at first where this is going?
Yeah, I don't think I watched the whole season or anything like that, but I know I watched the first couple episodes and probably like towards the end as well, because I remember a lot of the stuff that happened in this, like from watching it before like that too. Um I remember being excited about it, and I remember like being kind of overwhelmed by the mythology plot line in it, and I think ultimately that's probably what caused me to like slow down like watching the X-Files originally, was probably the end of this season and the whole like season 9 too. Is that it just became so much insanity about like the mythology part, and it became almost like too repetitive. And you see that some in this season too, and I'm going to talk about it as well, like where basically a couple people say the same things over and over again throughout the season to the point where it's like ridiculous, really. Like, and it kind of gets repetitive at this point. There's some of these storylines that they're pushing way too hard in season 8 that at least I thought anyway that they got like kind of it's like almost every other episode, like either Scully or Doggett are saying the same basic types of things. And like I understand that they were trying to, they're trying to position him as the skeptic, of course, and they're trying to position her as like the believer, and they're trying to show, but like it felt way too forced and way too much like that they were just going back and forth with these same dialogues like over and over again in the different episodes. I don't know if like anybody else noticed that, but I'd like.
You mean the mythology or standalone? Or
well, especially in the mythologies, yeah.
mythology,
In the mythology parts, yeah. I mean, how many fucking times can Doggett like see something? Or I mean, there's a scene towards the end where he shoots Billy Miles twice, and the guy just like runs away, and he's like, I don't know, he's probably on fucking crack or something.
Yeah, that's what he says.
I'm
He's
like,
hopped up on something. He's high.
how much shit do you have to see throughout this entire like season? That whole shit with his son and everything, and he's still like, I don't know, it's probably PCP or something.
What about in the This Is Not Happening episode where you have Doggett watch the camera and he sees Jeremiah Smith shapeshift into him?
Yeah. Yep. And he
like,
goes, I don't know what I just saw. That's exactly what he fucking says. And I'm like, so I think maybe, I'm not entirely sure why they were doing it, but they should have maybe let him like catch on a little bit quicker,
To be fair, it took Scully like 7 years to form the same thing. So
that's a fair point.
For 7 years, like, Scully was, here's this monster that rips out and eats livers, and it must be a scientific explanation.
Yeah, I think Carter just wanted a skeptic. I mean, like, so you have Reyes come in. She's a believer. We all know Mulder's a believer. Scully's a believer now. Skinner's a believer.
Yeah.
So you need someone to offset the balance of everything. And he gets a lot of shit done, but like his approach is all rooted in, hard facts and stuff like that. Not necessarily scientific stuff, but just it's the street cop approach. I mean, his background, like, he just,
which he plays that character well.
There are ways to write that where you don't have to have him see the shapeshift, and you don't have to have him see, like, maybe he wounds the guy, but he wounds him in the arm.
Mhm.
and then it's not so blatant. There are ways to write around that. It just seemed like this is the last season, so just they thought it would seem like they maybe this would be the last season, and just rush it into it.
Yeah.
And
Overall,
maybe
though, oh, go ahead,
yeah.
man.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say overall, though, like this is a good season. It's just even for me, and I've seen I've seen every one of these seasons. But like it's been a while on some of them. If you haven't watched everything leading up to this point, you're going to be completely fucking lost about what's going on in season 8. Like in a lot of the mythology episodes, you really will. It's not easy to follow if you haven't recently watched like quite a bit of it or watched it like 100 times anyway. But real quick, I want to catch up with the chat. So we got Jackson Jack in here. We got Carlos. We got the Wild Wrangler. We got Carter Dedention. We've got Sting of the Scorpion 78. It's good to see you. Skulls of the Abyss, who asked a question, who says he's behind. Have you talked about watching the series with Monster of the Week only episodes or mythology only? Actually, we do both. So we'll talk about some of both in this too. I'm not going to review every fucking episode this time because for 2 reasons. Number one, I didn't watch every episode, but number two, like it would take probably 3 hours to do every single of this particular season. But I am going to definitely talk. Oh, go ahead.
I would say real quick, I do like the season. I mainly liked it for Robert Patrick. I like the Dog and Scully dynamic. For me, an issue was that whole Dog and Scully. It was kind of, I don't know if this would make sense to people. It was half pregnant, and you can't get half pregnant. Like you either go all the way,
She was
and you're not
literally
pregnant. And it's because it's like they were partners, but then it's like Scully's by herself, or they're finally getting to know each other. And then when it does, here's Mulder back, and then she's leaving because she's pregnant, and Mulder's doing this.
Yeah,
and then Reyes.
Fucking Reyes.
So it's like, I actually think if Gillian Anderson had wanted to stay, I know it's because she wanted to go too, understandably. It's been, many years. If you stuck with Scully and Dahlia, I like through the whole way through, I think it would have been better without Reyes, and maybe continue into like season 9, and then maybe Mulder gets found in season 9, an episode or 2, like for the finale or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like from a lot of the season, and if most of season 9, I think Scully and Dahlia, I think they're a better pair than Dahlia and Reyes, because they still don't know each other, but we have the old guard of Scully, mm-hmm. and we understand why she's a believer, because she's been doing this for 8 years now. And if you write it the right way, Dahlia could be a skeptic. Just don't have someone blatantly shapeshift in front of them. There's easy ways to write that.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, when we go through these episodes, it's like some of the better ones are when the two of them are interacting with each other. But it's like, right as you get into it, boom, it's back to Mulder and Scully, and then Krychek is in there, and Reyes is in there.
The best
some of Mark's
part
favorite
of the
person,
season.
Kirsch.
Oh, I love Kirsch.
Mark, what's your
Kirsch is great.
What's your thoughts on
he
Kirsch?
sucks. I'm not a fan of Kirsch, to be honest. But like, just
you love Kirsch.
No, there's so many moving parts. Like Uncle Bill said, like there's so many moving parts. There's quite a few plot threads going on. But one of the best parts, in my opinion, no cigarette smoking man.
That's true.
I love that. Give that character. I mean, he's dead. I mean, well, so we think.
Well, no, he's not.
Right. But him being gone, that freed up a lot of, time to have all these other new characters, whether you like them or not. It's still something fresh, like I just grew tired of him by that point anyway. So
we got Manny and Scratch in here. It's good to see you guys too. They just popped in as well. You know what though is weird is that just as an overview of this season for me too, Like, I didn't mind Kirsch. Like, I feel like he played like a good, like, asshole douche
he's great at that,
character. Yeah. Who's just, constantly trying to sabotage like the whole thing and get rid of the X-Files, that was good to, it was a good character to have in there like that. So I don't know. Like, I didn't mind that as much. The Krychek shit's completely unnecessary. His ass comes in there for like a couple episodes, fucks around with some sort of vaccine or something, and then just like,
you gotta have Krychek. Come on.
Yeah. I can't wait to talk about that too. Okay. But we could go
real quickly. Even that guy, the actor Nicholas Lee mentioned, he was, spoiler alert, he just killed off because he's like, they're not doing anything with the character. They're not writing any development, any depth. So I'm fine with it because they're not doing anything with it. So, and it's true. I mean, he just comes in. It's pretty much the same all the way you see him. There's like no other. I can't think of 3 things they add to the character through all these years. And it's like, well, yeah, I can't really blame him for wanting to go if that's the case.
Yeah, I think with him in this season, like he pretty much just plays up the one biggest character trait, which is him trying to save his own ass. He'll jump from one side to the other. If that's the side that's looking like the best, he'll go from that side back to the other and back and forth again. So, yeah, I agree. There wasn't a whole lot that they did with him, but when he does pop up, I especially love the fight between him and Robert Patrick, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, that is a really cool scene. And you can tell they spent like quite a bit of money like on that one action sequence too.
Yeah.
Like, it's really, really well done. It was like something out of a movie or something.
Mm-hmm.
So first episode though of this season is Within. And I'll say this without hesitation, like my favorite episodes of this whole entire series were the first 2. Because they looked like $1 million. They looked like the production value was outstanding. And like, it really does a good job of kicking off like the Doggett character and Kirsch and what's going on with Scully and the shit with Mulder and like what's happening with him and all that. It does all of that really well and also brings back like the alien bounty hunter and like there's a lot of cool stuff with that too. But the first episode is basically where you're introduced to Doggett, and Deputy Director Kirsch is basically bringing him in to be like he tells him
leader.
Yeah, he tells him at the beginning that he's to search for Mulder, but he doesn't want any shit about anything supernatural, essentially. He just wants like he doesn't want to be embarrassed. He doesn't want anything like that. He just wants
bad. It's bad for the FBI.
That's right.
Like
yeah, he
a
does.
million times this.
Yeah, and he just wants him to find him, but cover it up. Basically, if there's anything out of the ordinary, just like cover any of that up and just kind of proceed. So meanwhile, Scully and Skinner are together, and they're like also like trying to find Mulder. And the best part of these 2 episodes is like, to me, aside from like how the cinematography is great, is the desert the desert background and backstops of all that stuff too, I thought.
Yeah, definitely gave us scope for the beginning of the season. And they also bring back Gibson, the little kid who had who was the chess player. And like you said, I guess if you didn't follow and you missed those episodes, you might not know who that kid is, but that is who that kid is. And
who looks completely different now, by the way. Like,
yeah.
It's
and it was a good way to open it. It gives a sense of interest of I would think people assumed, like you mentioned before, it would be like a 2-episode arc and then Mulder would be back. But the fact that they did it, I think, caught people off guard. I don't know if the ratings started to dwindle because of that, or if that wasn't the case, or maybe something else. But I mean, I thought it was interesting. It shook it up when you get to season 8.
Well, he is back, really Matt.
Addition.
He is back in this season.
Technically, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And he looks they've determined he looks different. I don't know if he ate a lot of Steven Seagal's cheeseburgers or something.
He
He's a little puffier.
Yeah, he is.
Maybe because of all those cheats when
In those
they did
first
the
2
alien
episodes, I
experiment.
did notice that. Yeah, it was a little bit. Yeah.
Yep.
Because there are times that he's in the ship and they're stretching out his cheeks and stuff, and I'm like,
Right.
nothing against that. I mean, I have no room to talk. I'm just making observation.
I just think that it was cool the way they kept going back and forth between like him being up there. So
Yeah.
he's abducted by aliens
Mm-hmm.
and he's in the alien spacecraft or whatever. And they're doing like this, whatever the hell kind of research that they're doing on him, which involves a lot of shit that looks a lot like Fire in the Sky, where they're just, like lasers and drills and shit. Yeah, there you go. Like that, stretching his face like that too.
Yeah.
And Pinhead style. And so they cut between that and then like what's going on in the actual investigation. So at one point in the episode, and I'll be honest with you, I can't remember if it's in Within or Without. Like, which is it? The first one it's the first one the alien bounty hunter comes in, isn't it?
He's in both.
Okay, he's in both. So he shows up as Mulder at first. So that they
at the end of the first one, that's the reveal.
End of the first, yeah. So he shows up and there's Doggett's there and he's like, "Hey, Mulder, So they finally catch up with him and yada yada yada, or they think they catch up with him, and he's not saying anything, and what's going on. Like I knew what the hell was going on at the first second that he wasn't saying anything back.
Right.
So, but they're trying to kind of like stretch it out to make you think that it really is Mulder and he's back and all that. And so, rather than go with Doggett, he just jumps off the side of the cliff and falls in a horrendous,
he does like a swan dive off the top.
Yeah, he's just kind of laying there until somebody, and then doesn't he just disappear?
It was kind of a goofy effect when you have the Mulder going like the up top shot. Like the stunt itself was good, but there's like a shot with David Cuddy's face is like, I'm in the air. This green screen.
Yep.
Like the opening credits.
Yeah, where he goes into the eyeball. Yeah. But anyway,
I'm leaving the show, suckers. This is like
that's a cool scene, just because like of the way that it was done. Like you think that they've caught up with Mulder or whatever for a split second, and then you find out that's going on and yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
And also brings back the bounty hunter, so that he's back in it, which is cool.
Yeah,
and
it's like they arrive at the school, and then they see like a teacher, and I think it's Doggett sees the teacher in the classroom, and then he walks out, looking at him suspiciously, but he walks out, and then he changes into the bounty hunter, so that it's him. Yeah. Eventually, later on, we get the reveal in the second episode, and there's a great moment in the second episode where the bounty hunter is Scully, but Skinner and Doggett are talking to Scully, and then they're like, "Wait a minute, who's on the other end of the walkie-talkie? Like, who do you have with you?" And the other guy's like, "Oh, it's Scully." So they try to hold her in that position, and then they all go to confront this so-called Scully, and it's, of course, there's a chase, and she kills a guy by like sticking her fingers in his throat or something. It's pretty gnarly. Yeah, those first 2 episodes are really, I might have to agree, those are really, really strong, and they set up the season well, I think, for sure.
Yeah, I don't think they could have done a better job, like with that, with just introducing all of these characters, and then also like continuing the mythology and keeping all those parts moving. It was actually really at this point exciting and kind of like it flowed really well, and it kind of gets bogged down, I think, a little bit later. But right at this point, like it was super well done.
Yeah, it was great seeing the continuity with Gibson and bringing his character back.
Yeah,
but he doesn't last beyond these first 2 episodes. The second episode of the season is also the last time you see the alien bounty hunter. So no more Brian Thompson for the rest of the season.
That's a shame. Yeah.
It is a shame, but I mean, there's a good reason why. You don't need him when you got Billy Miles.
That's right. So,
He's just
who, by
cutting
the
people's
way,
heads off and stuff.
I was sitting there looking at him and I was like, is that fucking Ben Shapiro? Do y'all know who Ben Shapiro is? Like the
Yeah.
political commentator, whatever. It looks exactly like
Yeah.
him. I was like,
There is a resemblance.
holy shit. But anyway.
It's Ben Shapiro.
I swear I was like, I didn't know he was in this shit. And then I was, oh yeah, it's okay. So at the end, after like Scully, they realize that Scully is the alien bounty hunter, and then they get back with the real Scully and all that shit. Agent Landau, doesn't the alien bounty hunter attack him?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one. Yeah, that's the one that he kills with the throat or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then Scully is the one who eventually shoots and kills the bounty hunter.
Yeah.
By the
After
end of
she
the
gets like
episode,
thrown
yeah.
through the air.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Scully. Well, that's one part of it too, Sting of the Scorpion. Like, there's way too much paranoia about like different people in different characters. So Scully's all paranoid about Doggett, and then Scully's all paranoid about Skinner, and then Mulder's paranoid about Doggett, and then like it just so much of that kind of like weighs down a lot of the stuff with him, you know. And I see what they were trying to do. I think just make it to where you didn't know like who was on whose side or whatever. And
well, I mean, it's trust no one, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
I mean, they didn't know Doggett, you know, for anything, and he's the new guy coming in, and usually they have nothing but opposition in their way, so like it's only natural. And then of course those character relationships sort of grow eventually throughout the season, and then they're all friends in the end. So it was good character progression, but I could see how it could be annoying after a while. Yeah.
So by the end of the episode, though, it kind of cements that Kirsch puts Doggett in charge of the X-Files.
Mm-hmm.
And that sets up the entire rest of the season, basically. In a good way. Like, at this point, it's in a really good way, yeah. And so now you've got to where it's Scully and Doggett are probably the main two, you know, driving force characters for the majority of the rest of the season. I don't know. What did you guys think about their interaction? Matt, you said you liked it, right? Like, I mean, the interplay between them.
That's my favorite part, because it changed it up. As much as I love Mulder and Scully, and that always be my favorite pair of the show, of course, that is the show. It shook it up a bit where, yeah, Robert Patrick's a really good actor. I've followed his career through not just Terminator 2, but many other films I've enjoyed him in. So I thought his gung-ho attitude and him being a guy to bring a different perspective, and I thought it was a nice progression to have Scully believe a bit more. It made sense after all the years she's seen, and this sort of a twist where she wants to be like Mulder, but at the same time she knows she's not exactly like Mulder. And there's even episodes where she questions that, like she's only saying this because that's how Mulder would think it. Yeah. I thought that was a nice different direction for the character, because when you get to 8 years in, you gotta shake up a little bit, but that's to always be a danger, because there could be a complete catastrophe if you do it the wrong way. But I thought that you had that kind of initial distrust that Mulder and Scully had in season 1 of each other, but then repackaged in a different little format. Like I said, that was my favorite part of the season. That's why I wish, like I was saying before, that it was kind of half pregnant. You can't get half pregnant. I wish they would have gone full force with Scully and Dog as a team. And that would, of course, you have to get Gillian Anderson to agree to a season 9. No one is a season 9, and just go for it. I would have preferred that. That way, like Mark was saying before, and many others were saying, by the time you get like a couple episodes of them together and they're finally getting a groove, it's like, all this stuff has to be repackaged. The return of Billy Miles, the return of Mulder, Krychek, super soldiers, Adam Baldwin's character, like the baby, like all this stuff's like melded in. It becomes like a rush to the finish. And yeah, Agent Ray's his dumbass in there.
I want
And
to. I like how I've got everybody to shit on Agent Reyes now. Listen, I want to talk too, like when we get closer to the end of this season, about what your all's thoughts were about how they handled the whole baby storyline, because there's a lot of shit in this season about that too, and there's a lot of misdirectional kind of stuff that happens throughout this season with it as well. But okay, so we got the first 2 episodes out of the way, which in my opinion are probably the best, honestly. And then you go to, and this is what they normally do, you got the mythology part, and then you've got like several different like standalone episodes. Mm-hmm. And the first of which is Patience, which is the one about the bat-like creatures, which I did not watch that one. I skipped Patience because just the idea of like the bat-like creatures, I kind of figured that it might suck, so I just skipped it. Any thoughts, really quick, about that one?
I like it. I think it's good. I mean, I think Carter said that was supposed to be the introduction to full-on paranormal stuff for the Doggett character to test his, his believability, and I think even like the Bat character was a play on the villain from Batman, Man-Bat. So it wasn't bad. I enjoy it. I mean, it's a good one to throw on. It's got some decent atmosphere. It's fine.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty decent. I thought the Bat creature looked a little bit generic face-wise. Like the body looked fine, but the face was kind of just...
They could have done more with it.
Remember the episode Hungry with the guy's face?
Yeah. It was very
looked like that.
Yeah,
but just with a bat body. But it was decent. I liked the idea. It was they found a burnt body. It was led back to these people that hunted this bat creature long ago, and because the body was found, the scent of the last person alive is now hunting them down. At one point, if there's some decent shots of it flying and jumping on like Doggett, and they have a little bit of a fight in the water. It was a decent first introduction to Doggett and the paranormal. It's not like a classic, but I didn't think it was anything that bad or anything. Pretty decent.
So Steven Scorpion says Patience has the asshole father from Halloween 6, who's also kind of an asshole here too.
Oh yeah. He's good at playing that.
Yeah, he was good at that role. Yeah.
Oh, that was him. Yeah.
I got to get your all's opinion though about this one, because episode 4 I watched and I still can't tell if I liked it or not. Roadrunners. So this is the one that is about a murder in Utah, and they go and investigate it, and there's this cult of people, and this is a really actually a really brutal one as well.
Some nice gore effects.
Religious cult.
Yeah, it's a religious cult, and they believe. I'm not entirely sure what they believe. That they believe this slug.
They think it's the second coming.
The second coming of God. Yeah. So they implant it in this guy's back, who they kidnap, and that guy is there, kind of like laying around. And then Scully shows up, and she tries to remove the thing once she knows what's going on, and then doesn't really remove it. And they figure out what she's trying to do, and so they're like, "All right, well, we're gonna put it in you now." And it looks like one of the things from like Night of the Creeps, like an updated version of the thing from Night of the Creeps or something. And they put it on her back, and it kind of like gets in there, and the whole rest of the episode she's just kind of like flailing around and shit, like trying to get it out. And Doggett shows up and basically
it takes her to a bus and does a procedure, pretty gory procedure, open up the back.
That was a
and
cool
ripping
effect.
it out.
Honestly,
Yeah.
that was a lot better than it had any right to be for a TV show. And that's, I mean, really the gist of it. Like,
It
saves
kind
her.
of was trying to have the beginning remind me a bit of Dead and Buried, where you have the whole town get together on a person. In this case, is a guy for those who haven't seen Dead and Buried, I mean, go check it out. It's, not that bad of a movie. But it's just like you don't know who to trust, and you find out everyone in this town is in on it, and there's a big secret. And if you're not fit for the slug, you get stoned to death, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And
you gotta be fit for the slug.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a favorite of mine. I like the idea. I like scenes better than the full episode. I like the ending. Like, I would say I like the ending bit. The build up to it, I don't know. I was indifferent until the ending. I would say the ending I liked more than the rest of it. It just felt kind of Scully's being stupid, going off by herself, and that's the whole point. Is at the end, even Doggy says, "Yeah, you were stupid to go off by yourself."
There is a part in it though that it's kind of hardcore too, where she's like, don't put this thing on me, I'm pregnant or whatever, and they just still fucking put it on.
They
I was
do
like,
it
God
anyway.
damn, wasn't really
Yeah.
expecting that, but yeah, those people were hardcore into it. But that's
You
what I
said
mean.
you weren't sure if you liked it.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
on the
what was
fence
it?
with it because, like, on the one hand, it's just a slug. It's a killer slug thing episode, and on the other hand, like, it's done really well. The effects are really good, so I'm just kind of like, I'm able to kind of forgive the fact that it's just that, just how the effects are. So I don't know. I would give it like a 6 out of 10 or something. I mean,
That's
a
fair.
strong 6 out of 10. I don't know.
Yeah.
And the next couple are also standalone episodes too. So see, episode 5 is actually now this one. I was a little bit clearer on about whether or not I liked it or not. Invocation, which you were somebody was talking about this one before in one of the earlier episodes, and I can't remember who it was, but this is the one where the little kid disappears from the crowd and he's on like a playground and he comes back like 10 years later and the mother's like, oh shit, like, he's back. This is amazing. And he's clearly not, like, there's something wrong with him, but the mother is clearly like not, she just doesn't want to hear about it. Like, she just wants to act like everything is the same.
The kid hasn't aged.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. The kid hasn't aged a day either, but don't let that stop you from having your reunion.
It's almost like a combination of those two episodes, the Kalashari and Revelations mixed together.
Yeah.
It has that same kind of feel to it. And then the whole thing with the little kid. I think this episode also has Rodney Eastman in it.
It does.
Nightmare.
From Nightmare. Yeah.
I think he's pretty good in it, actually.
It's one of the few things I've ever seen him in other than Dream Warriors.
Yeah. But overall, I think it's good. It's kind of weird in a way, the fact that, like, don't they discover the fact that, like, he's actually a ghost? Like, that's the whole thing, right? He's a ghost.
That's the gimmick.
But they draw blood from him. They do all these sort of, I guess, metaphysical things, but in the end, he's just a spirit.
He's a spirit.
Yes. I mean, I know it's X-Files, so it's going to be out there, but, like, I think that, like Matt said earlier, you can go around certain things to sort of make it, not like that. It just, I like it, but just some of those things. And then, of course, Doggett sees all this stuff. They come to the resolution at the end, but he still doesn't believe
he's
in
like,
paranormal. So
he's like, nope.
Yeah.
Most of the big part is this introduces that Doggett's son had died long ago, and that's where he gets very personal with it, is that his son was murdered long ago. So that's why he's had a personal stake in this, because he could relate to it. Was just explored a few times. Which I would say that kind of got redundant because it did explore, but it's like they said the same thing over and over again about the son, like, oh, it's this vision I saw, and then this person killed him. Maybe this person killed him. Like, make up your fucking mind.
That's Reyes.
Yeah, that's one thing. That's one thing that I hate about that episode. We're going to get into that too coming up as well.
That's kind of an interesting point, though, Matt. Like, I mean, if you look at it, it's sort of his motivation, like toward all
like
the stuff
Mulder's
that's
sister.
Exactly. Like, there's kind of a parallel there between those two characters when it comes to that. It's kind of like their driving force. Just an interesting thing, though, that I think Carter added to the characters. They both have some sort
But they
of
wasted
loss.
no time in letting that linger. They just like, as soon as it's introduced, let's try to explain it like 3 different ways. I like pick a lane.
Same thing with his
Carter.
sister.
Yeah, that's true.
Carter's signature.
Fucking shitty writing. Did anybody else though draw parallels between like Doggett and John Walsh? Because that's what that character reminded me of. About the fact that he's like he's the cop that like loses his son and he's killed this really like horrible way and yada yada yada, and like then he's kind of like
That's an interesting point. I didn't think of that, but yeah, I could see that.
I don't know why, but that's who it reminded me of.
Do people know who John Walsh is? Some people might not even know who that is because I don't know when the last time he was in the public eye.
Well, yeah, it's been a while.
He has a show on. I mean, for anybody that watches ID Discovery or Discovery Plus, he has the same sort of show that was America's Most Wanted. It's called In Pursuit. It's the exact same format.
Okay.
And he has his other son host the show with him, Callahan Walsh. And it's really good. I think they're on like season 4. I'm addicted to that because I was always a huge fan of America's Most Wanted, just for anybody that's interested.
Yeah. And the backstory behind that whole thing was awful. I don't even shit. I mean, you couldn't even like make it as bad on television as it was actually what happened. So okay, but there's that one, and then
one more thing.
Yeah.
So that was now for anybody that just cares about the mythology stuff. If you watch all of the mythology episodes this season, all back to back, they try to make it seem like Doggett is obsessed with finding Mulder, because so many times he says the same thing. I'm going to find him. That's what I was given the task to do. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find him. Yeah. And he's sort of become not obsessed, but like it kind of is that in a way. Cause like, I think it's the episode, The Gift, where he's in Mulder's house. He's rummaging through all this stuff. He feeds his fish. And even in like season, at the beginning of the season, in the second episode, he does the same thing. Like he goes in his apartment and he's like, I came by to feed the fish. And he's just rummaging like through all different aspects of his life just to find him. It's really interesting stuff. There was also a plot thread where Mulder's dying in the first 2 episodes, but that was squashed. So let's not really get into that.
Yeah. I keep doing that. Episode 6. I really like this episode. But I like any episode that's kind of like this for some reason. Like I like any of the time continuity fucked up types of episodes that they have on this show. And this is one of those. This one is Red Rum. And this is the one that has a guy from T2 in it.
Joe Morton.
That's the guy. I'll always remember him from that role. Like is the designer of like Skynet and all that ends up holding the thing at the end of the that blows the building up. Anyway, he's a lawyer in this who is accused of murdering his wife, but you come to find out it's Machete and
Danny Trejo.
And it's a pretty good backstory behind this, and also a really kind of hard to follow timeline. So most of the time, like in these kind of like time episodes, like it's, they're every day is like Groundhog Day or something. But in this one, it's like every time he wakes up, what is it? It's like the day before. Yeah. So you got to wrap your head around all that.
Starts with him in jail. Then the next time he's accused. Or I mean, he's in process. Then before he's ready to get accused, like each time it's like
each time it's going backwards.
His death kickstarts it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like his wife's father kills him when he's like being taken out of the jail.
Yeah.
And then it starts, I think the watch on, I think it might be his wrist or somebody's wrist, like it starts to go backwards. So he begins to relive every day, like, but it goes backward up until the murder, which was at the beginning of the week.
Right.
Now they don't ever explain why that happened, right?
No, sort of like Monday, that episode in season 6. They don't really, there's no explanation really.
But you assume that like somehow or another, like Danny Trejo's character had something to do with it, because he seems to know what the fuck is going on, right? Like in some way or another. But he's not like a supernatural character or anything like that, as far as I can tell. Like he's just a thug who. So okay, so the guy's accused of murdering his wife, and then like he knows Doggett, and Doggett's trying to help him like figure out why. Like he thinks that he's waking up in these different time periods and stuff. So by the time you get to the end of the episode, he figures out like who the guy is that actually killed his wife by knowing that he's going to be there at a certain time. So he's there, and it turns out to be Danny Trejo, and they arrest Danny Trejo.
And the nanny cam too.
And the nanny cam, yeah. And Danny Trejo's like, he's trying to figure out why he killed his wife, and he's like, well, you prosecuted my brother, and my brother was innocent, basically.
You planted the evidence.
You planted the evidence. And then he's like, well, like, we can work this out. Like, I'll get him out or whatever. He's like, well, he's dead. He hung himself yesterday or something like that. And so he's kind of screwed in terms of like trying to fix it anyway. But ultimately, in the end, he does kind of fix it in a way, because he ends up like saving his wife, but then he has to go to prison.
Yeah, he sends himself in for planning the evidence or whatever. Yeah.
My name is Danny Trejo. You kill my brother, prepare to die. That's great.
I do enjoy the episode. Joe Morton, I do like as an actor. I also remember him from the film Speed. He played the Keanu Reeves' captain. I always remember the line where it's like, "The bridge is out. You're fired. Everybody's fucking fired." Like, no one told him before. But it's a good episode. It's just that Scully and Dog really have nothing to do, and this could have been like an Outer Limits episode. Like it didn't need to be an X-Files episode because they're so in it so little.
It was supposed to be like a Twilight Zone kind of thing.
Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah, like it's a good episode. It's not much of an X-Files in the fact that like Scully and Dottie really have nothing to do. I mean, they're in it. Dottie a little bit more, but they're in it very little. And while I do like it, it's like I wish they could have been incorporated a bit more. Like I thought Monday did a good job with Mulder, figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
It's not really like it's good for Joe Morton. I like the idea. It's just I wish the other characters had a bit more to do.
That was possibly by design. Maybe they did that so that it wasn't too reminiscent of Monday. Maybe,
yeah. This was the first one filmed after the opening 2-parter, the first standalone episode film. I didn't know that. What's going on, Tony? Let's talk Resident Evil,
man.
We're going to talk X-Files. Let's talk X-Files. That should have been the name of this fucking show. We would have stole the whole
Resident Evil game of X-Files. We talked about it before. X-Files Resist or Serve. That was like season 7. There's a PlayStation 2 game that's like Resident Evil. You should check that out, Anthony. Get your X-Files on. Come on. Do it. You sound like Van Damme for some reason. Come on, do it now. Come on. I don't know why I sound like Jean-Claude Van Damme, but oh well. Jean-Claude Van Damme needed to be in X-Files. I'll say that. Super kick a monster in the face. I'd buy that for $1.
I would watch that if he did that split kick up in the air, like on
Sheldon Lettich, the guy who did Double Impact, wanted to do an X-Files type of movie with Van Damme, but sadly that never came to be. But that was one of his ideas, the guy who directed Lionheart and Double Impact. I wish that was the case, though.
So let's see. Episode 7 is Via Negativa.
Via Negativa,
yeah. This is the one about Doggett and Skinner trying to
The guy with
avert.
the third eye.
Yeah, the third eye dude. Yep.
It's another
And
cult
Nightmare.
episode.
He can enter
He
the
can go-
dreams. He's like
Your
Freddy.
nightmares come real.
Yep.
Your nightmares can kill you.
Yeah, the cult is trying to reach a higher plane of existence, except they reach like a lower plane, like a darker plane, instead of the higher plane that they're.
That's what
searching
always
for.
happens when you go fucking with that stuff.
Some memorable stuff in that one, though. I remember all the. I think it's toward the beginning where you have all the like followers. They have like the axe split like in their face. I don't know if you guys remember that. They're all laying in their beds and everybody's got an axe wound in their face.
Like one
Which
of
I
those
thought was
big,
pretty gnarly.
like, battle axes too. One of those big, like back to the day of the medieval times, and one of those big ass axes that people put in their heads and stuff. In this episode, at least Doggett almost does.
Yeah, that's right.
It's one of those axes you see like Scooby Doo, like the arm or whatever Scooby Doo stuff.
Like the knight has in Scooby Doo. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So anything about that
I do
one?
think
Because
Robert
I
Patrick did a
honestly
good job in
did
it.
not watch that one. I don't think.
Yeah.
You go ahead, Matt.
I would just say I thought Robert Patrick did a good job, especially the scene where he's like, I don't know if I'm asleep or awake. I thought he really sold it. And
Definitely.
I hate to say this, as much as I like David Duchovny and he fits what best as Mulder, this did kind of show Robert Patrick is the better actor in terms of emotion. As much as I like David Duchovny and he fits Mulder, and I like that Mulder story. You can easily argue Robert Patrick is the better actor in terms of range of emotions.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I don't think that Duchovny is a great actor. I just think he's great at one particular style of role.
He's a great Mulder.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's great to be a Mulder.
I actually think I think it depends on the role. I think with X-Files he was a little bit better in the beginning than toward the end because I guess he was somewhat checked out maybe.
Yeah.
Because I love him in Californication, and that's the complete opposite of the character that you have here with Mulder. And then stuff like California and stuff like that, like he's got some range. I just think maybe it's the project but I will say that Patrick's much better. I mean, if you look at him as
Jesus Christ.
See what you did, Mark? You see
It
what
was
you
all
did,
me.
Mark? You said Robert Patrick was better. His dog's a David Duchovny fan. He didn't like that.
not at all.
He said he was a David Duchovny fan.
Yeah, but-
the dog's a Duchovny fanboy. He's like pissed off you said Robert Patrick was better. That's your fault. It's your fault, man.
She okay, UB? She went crazy for a minute there.
How dare Mark say Robert Patrick better? You son of a bitch.
Listen,
See?
sometimes if somebody like walks past the door or if there's like, she just freaks out, man. She's real territorial for sure.
Well, she's protecting you. That's what it is.
But Via Negativa, like I said, for those who are fans of Dead Space, the video game, the original version, the guy who plays, this is only for people who know this, Dr. Terrence Kyne, he plays the religious cult leader in this. It's the same actor for all you video game folks. And yeah, Robert Patrick, I thought did a good job. I thought his performance was my favorite part of it.
Now, what are y'all
Okay, I won't
thoughts?
say Robert Patrick's better. Okay, dog, I won't say Robert Patrick's better anymore.
Fucking dog, come back in here, eat my face. What did you guys think about the next episode, though? Sure Kill, because I know somebody brought this one up too before.
It was a fun idea. You have Patrick Kilpatrick, who can see through walls. He has X-ray vision.
Mhm.
I like that actor. I always remember
do
him. I
too.
first saw him in Death Warrant, the Sandman,
Right.
going
Yeah,
up against Van Damme. He kicked up the Sandman.
I first saw him in an episode of Tales from the Dark Side where he plays a vampire, where he plays a dude that gets turned into a vampire by another like vampire, and then he's kind of chained to the wall the entire time.
Hmm.
It's a really weird episode, but like that's the first time I ever saw that guy in anything.
You also got James Franco in this episode too.
Oh yeah,
He's the cop, and I think the guy, what's his name? His brother, Patrick Kilpatrick's brother in the episode. Mike, is it Michael Bowen?
Mhm.
He's also in Breaking Bad, which I think a few episodes ago I mentioned how like there's a million people from Breaking Bad in the show.
Yeah,
He's
you did say that.
Yeah, he's another one. Season 5.
I didn't realize James Franco was in this. I completely missed that. Shit.
Yeah, it's very brief.
Yeah, he's not in it for long.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the story of a guy who has X-ray vision that can kill people through walls.
Mm-hmm. His brother's sort of manipulating him to take out specific people.
Yeah.
Did you think they were running out of ideas by season 8, where it's like, here's a Batman, here's X-ray vision, here's a Metal Man?
I will tell you this.
I mean, what more could you do, granted? But yeah.
I did notice that this may be the first time in any of these seasons where I thought the mythology episodes were better than the standalone episodes. Like there were not many. I liked a couple of the standalone episodes in this, but I didn't think any of them were like blew my mind or anything like that, like some of the ones before. But the mythology episodes I thought were better. And I don't know exactly why that is, but that just seemed to be the way that I looked at it.
I mean, I think the idea was probably a lot better than the execution of the episode. They could have done more with the concept. I like that his character can, I think she describes it as like he can perceive different wavelengths of light. So that gives him the ability to see through walls. So it's a cool idea conceptually, but maybe they could have done more with it. That's probably
when you say that, like, what could they have done?
Oh, probably not make his character so dim-witted. Did you notice that? Like, he's sort of just a follower.
Very much,
for him to be the one with the ability, he doesn't lead the episode. It's his brother leading the charge, and he's just like blindly taking out people at his request.
It's kind of like the book. I can't remember the book of Mice and Men. Kind of the brother character, and then you have the dim-witted one that's more being controlled and kind of play with the rabbits. Like, you're waiting for that line, kind of Mice and Men quality. And yeah, I mean, yet again, also like Doggett and Scully don't do a whole lot in solving the case. It's pretty much the bad guys solving themselves because one has a crush on a girl.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Scully and Doggett, like, you could almost take them out and it might have turned out the same way. Because it's like, again, one has a crush on the girl and the other guy, I mean,
yeah, she's kind of their downfall.
Yeah.
As
so
always.
It's like they didn't really do anything.
It's always
a woman. Yeah,
women.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not getting into fucking bad law or whatever. I don't give a shit about Indian mystic episodes.
Yeah,
I will say I like the bit that's like Dr. Diggles where he comes out of the guy's stomach. I thought that was kind of a nice little gory bit. Do you see the hand coming out and Scully freaks out?
Definitely.
But yeah, I mean, I also know the little person with Deep Roy. He was in that Johnny Depp version of Willy Wonka as the Oompa Loompas and stuff.
That's probably his most famous role, yeah.
But not my favorite. The villain seemed like he could do anything. He could turn invisible. He could do all this other stuff. It didn't seem like there was any limits. And then he was still alive at the end, just waiting at the airport
wheeling
again,
himself around.
Wheeling himself around because he has no legs. Mr. No Legs. Not the movie Mr. No Legs.
No, that's right.
I wasn't big on it. The next one is actually my favorite episode, Medusa. Oh, shit, that's not the next one. Whoops, see? I did ahead of myself. But Bad Law is... it fits bad. That's why he's called bad.
It's definitely the worst episode of the season, I'll say.
Yeah.
The one is called Bad.
But the next episode is more along the lines of the continuation of the Mulder stuff. So they start getting back into that now.
Wait, I think we skipped one, didn't we?
Did we skip one?
No.
The way these are fucking.
All
Did we do salvage?
salvage the Metal Man, Iron Man.
Oh, the dude
salvage.
that has like metal alloy for blood or whatever.
Yeah.
God damn it. We have to go through that one too.
Yeah, it's your
I don't have much
classic revenge story. Guy gets exposed to something and dies, comes back, or maybe they think he dies or something like that. Then he comes back and gets revenge.
Okay, was there anything about that one that everybody loved?
That's another one that had an unsatisfying ending. It's just he looks at the kid and just gives himself up by pulling into a damn junkyard and I'm gonna crush myself. I'm like, why didn't you do that 5 minutes in and not have this episode?
What you do? You do that Michael Myers style, son.
He's got to get his
yourself in a wood
revenge
chipper.
first.
Once again, it's like Scully and Dog really had nothing to do. It's like I don't know what the deal is. Like you get them together and then they don't really do much in some of these episodes. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe that's just me. I just see like a pattern.
Right. Yeah, it's he's exposed to like smart metals or something like that.
Smart metals.
Yeah,
Just
I agree
like
with the Sting
Terminator
of the
2.
Scorpion. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what he just said.
Yeah.
Like it very much reminds me of T2 in a way.
So now we're getting ready to get like ass first into a lot of the mythology stuff coming up soon. There's like maybe one other standalone episode in between these, but then it's a lot of mythology stuff.
And they're all back to back too.
Yeah, just get buckled in for this shit because it gets real confusing real quick. Not to Mark, but to everybody else.
I'll clear it up for you guys.
Yeah. Okay, so the next episode is The Gift, and this one is pretty cut and dry because this one just kind of sets up what's getting ready to happen with a lot of the other stuff. So they find out that Mulder has been going back to this one particular town, and what is he? What the hell is he doing? I can't even remember. Like,
he's going.
Well, he was sick.
When he was sick,
he was
trying to figure out. Okay, yeah,
he was gonna have himself eaten by the Soul Eater, so the Soul Eater could take his sickness away.
Right.
And instead, like he decides to not go through with it. And there's a woman, I think, at the beginning who like summons it. I think so. You summon it by putting like this symbol on your door. Then it will come, and then whoever's in need of its gift, which is what the episode is called, you'll be eaten alive and then vomited back up, but you'll be in perfect health.
Hell yeah!
So that's the
That's
gist
just
of the
a weird
episode.
thing. Like you're
Very
eating up
biblical.
and your pile of bile. They spit back up with a pile of mucus.
It's
And it's
very
like, I'm
X-Files,
totally-
though, I will say.
It is there. So okay, that explains too.
Great effects on the Soul Eater, by the way.
That explains too why I don't know if I want to get into this yet, but like, so when they find Mulder and they find who's the other guy they find?
Billy Miles.
Is it Billy Miles they find too in the water or whatever? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then they're all covered in like shit, basically. Like just like
Not literal shit.
Not
For
literal
those that are
shit.
listening.
Wouldn't that be awesome if that's what happened to you?
That's the first image that popped in my head when you said that.
Yeah. But they shed the shit coat, like
The extra
then-
skin.
the extra skin, and then they come back. They look like they're dead, but then they come back after they shed the shit coat. Try saying that 3 times. Shed the shit coat. But anyway, this is the beginning of that whole thing where you find out about that, but you really don't know what the hell's going on, but you kind of find out like the origins of all that too. With
Yeah.
Doggett
Doggett tries to take the Soul Eater away, because he tells the townspeople, like, this is a man, you don't own him. But I think the town sheriff says something like, we have sick people here, we need what it has, you can't take him away. And Dog gets like, well, fuck you, I'm taking him anyway.
Yeah.
And he turns his back, and then they shoot Doggett in the back with a shotgun and kill him. And then
And guess what happens?
he gets eaten by the soul
Show's
leader,
over.
vomited back up, and he's in perfect health. But the soul leader finally dies and is at peace because it wants to die, actually. Which is why at the beginning Mulder shoots it 3 times to like spare it of its pain. So anybody that might be wondering, so it's kind of like the Green Mile with the character, and you know, he takes your illness away. But in this, the soul leader sort of physically manifests like some of the ailments, which is why he looks so fucked up. And because he eats Doggett after he's dead, he takes his death, and finally the soul leader's dead. So that's it.
He eats
And then
him,
Walk
baby.
in Memphis starts playing, and you find out that was actually the Frankenstein guy.
Yeah.
This is his repentance for taking advantage of all those women for all the years.
Cher shows up. Yeah.
Oh man.
But she's the soul eater.
She's the soul. That's how she lived like this. Yeah.
That's great.
Okay, so the next one, you mentioned this earlier, Rambo, is Medusa, which this might be the standalone one, like right before all hell breaks loose with everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the one, and you're right, this is a good one too. This is the one where they're in the tunnel systems and the subway systems fighting off the contagion and all of that. So that is like probably the last really good standalone episode that I can think of right off the top of my head too. Look at this.
Yeah, that was that was my favorite of the season. That one, I remember this when it first came out, and then rewatched it again, and I still really enjoyed because I like the location of the subway system. I'm a sucker for that kind of claustrophobic or potentially claustrophobic area. It was an episode where Mulder and Scully Scully and Dog was very vital to the situation. Dog is going to be her eyes and ears. She's figured it out. He's the hands of the operation. She's the brains of the operation. So you really get a sense of that partnership and trust. And then you have the weird bits with the contamination that glows green if you're affected by it. And
your sweat glands trigger.
Yeah. Something about the salt or something.
It's calcium.
Yeah, the sweat glands. Calcium. That's what's
well,
calcium.
it's a Medusa is like it's like a microscopic sea creature, but it's made up mostly of calcium, and your sweat glands trigger it if it gets on you. And what it proceeds to do is eat the flesh off of your body while you're still alive.
And not only are they dealing with that, but they're dealing with that just annoying some bitch that's like, the trains are going on the track. You just want to punch him in the face.
That's right. Guy. That guy was so annoying. I forgot about it.
And then you have people in the group, like one of them knocks out Doggett, and it seemed like the episode kept at a good pace. It kept me interested to see what would happen next. Like I said, to me, that was the first true sense of their partnership, where they trust each other.
Yeah.
And they depend on each other, and they actually stop it, and they actually succeed in their job. And there's no evidence. Now, Brad, I don't really know how it works because they shoot an electrical thing, but somehow that gets rid of the stuff on their body as well.
I think
it's like it hits the water, but on their body as well.
So it's in the water. Because it is part of being a sea creature. Like, it's in the water. There's like a leak or something in like the roof of the subway system. And because it's all down there, I think what they were trying to say that it's a hive minded type thing. Like it's all hive. So if you destroy one part of it, you destroy all of it, no matter where it is. That's what I got.
Did they say that?
They didn't say that, but I mean, it's sort of like, I would imagine it's like the
Did it-
Stranger Things season 4 thing where it's all hive. So if you destroy one part, you can kind of like destroy most of it.
Stranger
Or all of it.
Things.
Oh, sorry. Well,
Boo!
God damn, Rambo. Jesus.
The first season I didn't mind. Second was there. After that, I just went, can this stuff be over, please? I never want to see another Stranger Things in my life. It can eat my nuts.
You know
I'm
what's
just
great
so
though?
tired.
You know what I love is The Walking Dead. That's a great show that went on for 47 seasons.
Sure,
oh man,
sure,
that show.
sure.
You want to talk about a
I couldn't
show
get through
that fucking
season
like
one.
jumped the shark like 10 years ago or something and just kept going? Jesus.
Mm-hmm. What about all the spinoffs?
No. I'm
Fear-
doing any.
Fear
We're not
the
watching
Walking
any of the
Dead.
spinoffs. Let's do a whole show just based on Fear the Walking Dead. We go through every season.
That's right.
That'd be the
Watch it
worst
first.
fucking show ever.
I'd rather do Murphy Brown.
God.
I actually would too.
I would. I'm serious.
Murphy Brown's a
Full
show
House.
I haven't thought about in a long time. Then yeah, let's do Night Court next.
We'll do Elf.
So, all right, after Medusa, then episode 13 is Permanum, which this is really where it starts getting back into like the baby subplot and all that, like Scully's baby. And this is actually done a lot better than what I'd remembered from like watching it before. I didn't remember like a lot of this stuff being as well made as it was, but yeah. So there is a dude. Well, it's kind of a misdirection episode, but there's a guy at the beginning of the episode who is with his wife and she's, having this baby, and it's really kind of like a Rosemary's Baby kind of situation where the dude's kind of sitting in there and, well, so you think, I guess at the beginning, the dude's sitting in there with his wife and they're like, okay, well, we're going to, we're going to put her under because there's some complications with the pregnancy and all this shit. So you got to get the fuck out of here. And they kind of escort him out. And then the woman is like all drugged up and everything. And they're doing a C-section on her. And you come to find out, of course, that she's giving birth to an alien baby. And she doesn't really know it because she's so drugged up. But you kind of see the outline and everything. And then you fast forward a little bit. And the same guy, the husband, seeks out Scully and Dog to basically tell them, hey, these people killed my wife. I guess you find out she's dead at that point. To get this alien baby out and like yada yada yada, you got to figure out like what happened and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's the setup of the episode. And I actually really like this episode, even though like you come to find out that it's not really like anything what you're thinking it is. Like the guy's actually in fucking hoots with the doctors, and like there's this whole other plot with him like being a part of the whole thing, and he's just trying to get this other woman who wouldn't really have anything to do with them to come out of hiding so that they can capture her, because like Mulder, or not Mulder, but Doggett and Scully are working together to try to solve this thing. So yeah.
I think it's the first episode where we see the Noel Rohr character, who's played by Adam Baldwin. I like his character, the sort of not sure. Is he really a friend? Is he not a friend? Of course, he is a friend in the show of the Doggett character. I think they serve in the Marines or something, so they have like a long history. And then he goes off to work for the Department of Defense. And you kind of get the idea that he's involved in classified operative stuff, even though they don't really specifically say that. But you get the idea just because of all the inside knowledge, and he tries to steer Doggett in the right direction or wrong direction, maybe. So they play a lot with that with him in the episode, and then going forward with the rest of the mythology episodes as well. I thought he fit pretty good in the show, Adam Baldwin.
Yeah.
What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of Adam Baldwin ever since I saw him in Full Metal Jacket. He was in Predator 2. He's been a lot of other stuff. Yeah, I liked him. I don't know if his culmination at the end was the most satisfying, but I guess there's so many moving pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, was it at the end of season 8 or was it at the end of season 9? Was he at the end of? Was he at
He's in season 9?
Season 9?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. It's been a while since I've seen that. I guess the whole thing is, I'm not sure how I feel about the baby angle, because it felt like, well, we don't have anything left to do, so just her baby's Jesus, It just felt like we have no more ideas left. I don't know. It just. The moonlighting thing, you gotta have them be together, and they had sex, and there's a baby, and there's a Jesus baby, and then that's really nothing much done with that. When you get to the revival, and it's like, because it was Cigarette Smoking Man's, whatever the hell, and it's like,
yeah, like
in retrospect, that was all for naught in a way, kind of.
Yeah,
maybe that's just me, but it was like, kind of, what was the point of it at the end of the day, looking back on it?
It really does to me. Like, it seems like they want to create like a whole Rosemary's Baby, like I said earlier, kind of situation where you don't know like who's in on this like conspiracy, and to is it an alien baby? Is it not an alien baby? Like, that's the whole kind of subplot that they're running with here. So you got really the big picture thing, which is the Mulder plot. Then you got this subplot with, is it an alien baby? Is it a regular baby? Like, what the hell's going on? Like, what are these people doing? All these doctors are in cahoots at this Zeus Genetics place to kind of, manufacture like an alien baby or make sure it comes to term or yada, yada, yada. And so surprisingly, when I rewatched it, like, I didn't find it as annoying as I thought it would be. Like, it's still kind of annoying. It's still kind of stupid, like, but it's done fairly well, like, with what they're trying to do, which is create that sense if you don't really know what's going on and like who's in on it and things like that.
Yeah, I think they started the whole thing with, all the way back in season 7 in the All Things episode, they imply at the beginning that they've slept together, Mulder and Scully, but that's never really confirmed. So jumping back to this episode, middle of season 8, you have this where they have a lot of flashback episodes where they show Mulder sort of talking to Scully about, I think it's some sort of like an in vitro fertilization type thing. Where
is that the flashback she's having in like the elevator or whatever?
Yeah. And a few more times throughout the episode that they make it so that he's donated sperm or whatever to the doctors, and they're going to try to get her pregnant. And later in the episode, you find out that it didn't take. So you're like, okay, well, how does she become pregnant? That's sort of the mystery. But at the beginning of this episode, you do see an alien baby come out of the lady that's on the table.
You do, yeah.
So they play that dynamic the whole time, the whole episode, and then going forward throughout the season. Is it an alien baby? Is it not? What is it?
But maybe that's why, if it had a worthwhile payoff, maybe I would like it more. But I don't think it had the worthwhile payoff by the end of it. So now that I know where it's going, it just loses the effectiveness to me, because I know it's going to end up, it was a Cigarette Smoking Man and knocked her up with Folgers in her cup and all that shit.
What the fuck? Knocked her up with Folgers in her cup. There you go.
Like that's what the commercials are about. Secretly, you put the best part wake you up is Folgers in your cup. You don't know what it is. Could be the Bill Cosby thing.
That's true.
She got Cosby'd.
By the way, just as a side note to this episode and a couple of other episodes too, are there a lot of like OBGYNs that just keep a bunch of deformed fetuses in bottles? Like,
Only in the X-Files.
In a room. And people, there's all kinds of people that see these, including like Doggett at one point, and I believe Mulder, and then even Doggett's like, what's going on here? He's like, we're just working to help these babies like not be deformed. And he's just like, okay. He just like accepts it. There's literally hundreds of like these fetuses and these jars lined up. Well, nothing I can do about that. I don't think that's protocol.
No.
But anyway.
It ain't me, so I'm not going to worry about it. It ain't me. It wasn't me.
So then this next one is the next episode is actually like one of my favorites too. And I'd forgotten about it, but after I rewatched it, it all came back to me like Celine Dion, that song. It's all coming back. It's coming back to me now. Oh, shit. I lost my
I'm surprised because this has your favorite Reyes introduced, right?
That's right.
It does, yeah, but she's only in it very briefly, so that's probably why I enjoyed it as much as I did, yeah. So the next episode is This Is Not Happening, right?
That's right.
Right.
So I was trying to remember like where the name of the episode came from, and then I got to the end of it, and I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Like, yeah. But
and the guy at the beginning says it too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. This is a great episode though. Like I had completely somehow or another like this episode had like just dropped off my radar, but going back and watching it, it's really, really good.
Yeah. There's another character introduced in this episode too. I think it's the Absalom character.
Oh yeah. The
he's like the leader of a UFO cult. He predicts that the world's going to be taken over by aliens in an invasion at the turn of the millennium. That doesn't happen. Then he loses all his followers, and I think the FBI finds out he's involved with like credit card fraud or some shit. Eventually, he builds up his cult again, and then finds the real deal when he meets Jeremiah Smith, who we first meet in season 3.
I'm trying to get my shit together here. Hold on.
And you also had Jeremiah Smith, that character, who's played by Roy Thins from the TV show The Invaders back in the day. He makes an appearance in this. And pretty much this guy who can heal, and it ends up with they find Mulder's body, and she's trying to get Mulder healed, but the UFO is going by, and that's where Scully screams out, "This is not happening," which leads into the future episodes.
Yeah, he gets abducted. He can heal Mulder.
It was nice to see Skinner used more in this season as well. I didn't mention that before because Mitch Pileggi's a good actor.
Yep.
He definitely used more here in this season compared to other seasons. That was nice to see.
So I guess the real driving force of this one is that she thinks that she has finally found Mulder. And that this cult is kind of like keeping him alive. And that's kind of what you're led to believe too, throughout the whole thing, is that this cult is keeping Mulder alive. And so you get like all the way up to the very end, and then you see like this flash of light and this UFO beam, and then like I'm assuming like Mulder is taken out of there or something like that by the UFOs, which is the "This Is Not Happening" line where Scully kind of screams that up into the sky. But yeah, you're introduced into a shitload of new characters in this episode, for one thing, too. So not only do you have Reyes, who's a recurring character, but you got the Absalom guy, you got this whole cult new thing, you got the fact that the cult's working with Jeremiah Smith to kind of try to cure all these people, and then you've got the thing with Mulder being a part of that. Yeah, there's a lot that goes on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like Sting the Scorpion says, there's a lot of cult activity in this season. A lot of episodes based on that too.
Do you think it's too much? Do you think there's too much going on?
I don't think you can ever have enough cult activity, really. That's one of my favorite. One of my favorite subgenres of things is cult movies. Yeah.
I mean, like with all the different characters and all the different stuff, do you think that was the right balance, or you think?
Oh fuck, there's way too many like characters that come in and
Okay.
out of this season. Yeah.
Do you like cult
What about
stuff,
you,
or are you
Mark?
just being facetious?
No, I'm being dead serious. Yeah.
Did you watch that show, The Following?
No, I never did.
Oh man, I love that show. What about you, Matt?
Was that the Kevin Bacon?
That's right.
Oh,
Kevin
that's another show.
Williams'
No.
show.
Who starred in it?
It was Kevin Bacon.
Oh, it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
He had like 3 shows. I can't remember which one. Well, 4th one, it was Tremors, and that got canceled, which is thank God. But no, I didn't see that show. The Following, I've heard of it. I didn't see it.
Yeah, I'd recommend everybody check that out if you guys haven't. It's about a cult of serial killers, and each one of
How
them
long did
has
it
like
last?
their own specialty. I think 3 seasons. Yeah, 3 seasons. I haven't watched it in a while, but I know I have them all on Blu-ray in the other room, and they're really good shows, especially that first season. It's so good. Yeah, check it out.
When you mentioned cult, I thought you were going to bring up the Kool-Aid. It's like, don't drink the Kool-Aid, the whole all
The
those
Jim
things.
Jones thing.
Yeah.
Jim Jones. That's a crazy. I mean, not to go too off track, but that's still insane that people that believe in so much to just drink it without a second thought. The whole Kool-Aid thing.
Oh, some of them had second
Same
thoughts,
with
but
the-
what the hell are you going to do if you got like people holding guns to your head too? Like they weren't getting out of there one way or the other. They were going to drink
Right.
the Kool-Aid or get shot. So yeah, I don't know which one I
I'm
would
just throwing
prefer.
their face.
Yeah.
At least piss them off for 5 seconds before I get shot. I need to have one, suck on these before a bullet enters my head. At least give me a 5-second satisfaction.
Just
Which
5
fascinated
seconds.
you more, Jim Jones or the Heaven's Gate with the
Or
comics?
David Koresh too. Don't forget about that.
Was there one that you specifically? Sorry that you're off tangent, but severe cults that fascinated you the most?
I mean,
One reason or another?
of course, Jim Jones, just because of exactly what you said, though, because how
Okay.
how was he able to manipulate that many people into moving to Guyana and then to building an entire, housing community compound, and then into eventually like killing themselves and their kids. And I mean, how does one person able to do all that? That's a good point. The Heaven's Gate shit, that's just it's the same thing really, but maybe to a lesser degree. That they all just decided that to follow this guy and that he knew the answers to heaven and all this shit. And then they had to do, they had to turn around 3 times and quack like a fucking duck, and you would open up the gates, and then whatever
Wasn't
these
that
fuckers,
Tale of a Comet or something? Like Haley's Comet or something? Was
yeah,
that
I think
cult?
that was the cult. That was the Heaven's Gate cult. They believed that I think it was what was it? Mark, an alien was going to come down or something, or a comet was going to come down and fucking
Scientologist, maybe.
Some shit.
That sounds like the cult that's in season 9 of X-Files, actually. Just a little bit.
And then
Scientologist.
Scientologist, yeah. And then Koresh is just a crazy asshole running around thinking he's Jesus, and everybody else thought he was Jesus, and he's clearly not. There's a lot of dudes like that though that just run around, and for some ungodly reason, they're charismatic enough that everybody or at least a small group of people think they're Jesus, and then they sleep with everybody. And that's all. That's always the fucking story. The end game of all those cults, by the way, if they're not just based on pure insanity like Jim Jones, is to sleep with a bunch of teenage girls. That's the one thing I've learned studying cults and cult leaders. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Sex and money. Comes out of sex and money.
What episode were we talking about?
This is not
happening with the cult, the Doomsday UFO cult. This is not happening. Which leads you to Dead Alive, the second part.
Dead Alive is probably one of my favorite episodes too.
Pretty much been 3 months. Mulder's been dead. But how come you liked it? You were saying sorry about
it's
that.
just batshit crazy. Like some of the stuff that happens in it is so like original that I really, really enjoy it. They, essentially they find Billy Miles floating in is it the ocean? I think it's the ocean. And
the ocean.
he's dead. He's dead, and they bring him in, and like they're doing an autopsy on him, and he starts to talk or move his mouth or something like that. So you find out he's not really dead, and he's covered in this shit coat. Like I said earlier, he's covered in, I don't know what it is exactly, but it's like another layer of skin or something like that.
Right.
And so essentially his vital signs are slowed down so much that he appears dead, but he's actually still alive, and he can regenerate like himself. But you come to find out that this is all because there's a virus that is like laying dormant, that's coming to life through them. So, and eventually, like, I think it's its episode, isn't it? Like they find Mulder. No, they don't find him. They think he's fucking dead.
They dig him up.
Yeah, and they dig the corpse up after they find Billy Miles, because Skinner, of all people, is convinced that, like, nobody else believes this. Doggett doesn't believe it or anything else like that. But Skinner's convinced that if they dig up Mulder's body, he's going to be in the same shape. And it turns out that he actually is. They put him on life support, but he's actually getting worse on life support because of some shit with the virus. I can't remember exactly what it is. Once they take him off the life support, he actually gets better.
It's changing his genes because it's going to eliminate the old body and shed the skin to be this new alien version of him.
Yes. Yeah. But they stopped that from happening somehow or another. I think Scully...
She takes him off life support because the life support is actually hastening like the virus along and making it work a little bit faster. So once she takes him off, and I think she treats him with like a series of like every antiviral known to man, and some other stuff she does. Like she's able to rid his body of the virus.
Which I didn't understand that. I didn't understand, like, this is the alien virus and she just random stuff that quickly to just, yep, you're fixed. Alien virus is cured.
That's what you do.
I don't know how the hell that came about. But Alice Krycek has this, he's in it as well. And
that's a really good scene, by the way.
Yeah. That's when he fights Doggett.
Yeah.
Well, there's a scene previous to that too where is it who is it? Is it Scully? That's like who is it that's like they're like give us the vaccine, and he's got like the little vaccine thing. Yeah, that's right. It's Skinner. Yeah, it's Skinner that like originally comes upon him. He's trying to get him to give him the vaccine, and then he leaves in the car, and like Doggett chases him out there, and then he breaks the vaccine in front of him, which is a fucking Krycek thing to do.
Yeah,
and
he leaves and comes back.
Yeah.
They have like a quick fight. Because, like, I think Krycek sees Doggett in the rear view with his gun out. So he's like, oh, shit, I better get out of here.
And then he loses the gun.
Yeah, loses his gun. They have a tussle. He crashes into a bunch of cars. But he speeds away. Then he drives back in reverse, holds up the vaccine. He's like, I got the vaccine. Yeah, and drops it in front of Doggett's face. I wish I had a picture of Doggett's face. He looks so pissed. Then he proceeds to chase him, but of course, Krycek gets away as always.
But isn't that weird that you have this one vaccine that's crucial, but then Scully was just able to get all this random stuff, and she has this magic cure in what feels like 4 minutes or less?
Yeah, she just uses...
Does that make sense?
Not really, but...
Science.
I would... Right. I mean, I know it's supposed to be a different type of... alien virus from the black oil, but I would imagine like the whole procedure plus the virus that they do to Mulder and everybody else that were abducted, I mean, it's supposed to make them an alien replacement. You look like yourself, but on the inside, your whole physiology, like you're biologically on the inside, you're different.
Yeah.
This is a slow ass process. He was dead for 3 months and it still didn't keep. And I don't know how he survived for 3 months buried. I guess the Virus just fed him a bunch of sweat glands or whatever. Like,
Right.
here's his water and food. Just keep eating yourself for 3
Mhm.
months. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought
And then
the same
again,
thing.
this vaccine, it's essential. It's essential. Screw it, you don't get it. Oh, I'm gonna get some mellow yellow. I'm gonna get some other stuff, and then
Got some baking soda. Yeah.
I just didn't understand that. It's a good episode. It's just there's some things I'm like,
Mhm.
huh? I was just confused by.
That, I mean, would also lean into another thing that's somewhat confusing, but I guess not so uncharacteristic for a character like Krychek, because he wants Skinner to kill Scully's baby. But then you fast forward like the last 2 episodes, then all of a sudden he's helping them. And then he's
Yep.
not.
Yep.
So, I mean, he jumps back and forth. So it's like, what's the point of even trying to get her like to lose it if later on you're gonna come back and try to help him? But again, I said that earlier. He just flip flops all the time. He'll jump on whatever side he thinks is the most convenient to save his ass.
Yeah.
Overall, though, I like the episode.
Yeah.
I thought it was one of the better ones on there. And then it's followed by 3 words.
Mm-hmm.
And I skimmed through this one. I don't think I watched the whole thing. Maybe I should have, but I didn't. But this is the one that starts off with the guy who's like trying to scale the White House gate. Or he does scale the White House gate. He gets all the way up to the front or whatever. Then he gets like tackled by the Secret Service and whatnot.
And they kill him.
They kill him. Yeah. And that's, I guess, the start of like the Fight the Future
Mm-hmm.
thing. That's the 3 words.
Yeah, he has a disc that has Fight the Future written on it. And it's proof about the whole like alien conspiracy and stuff. He's trying to get it to the president.
And that's what you do.
Pretty much.
I mean, if you want to get something, to the president,
exactly.
Everybody knows you jump the fucking White House gate,
run and have a gun on you while you jump the gate.
Yeah, go try it. See what happens. Make sure you have phone out as you do it.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, so also this is the first time Mulder's really like conscious.
Mm-hmm.
Like in an episode. So he kind of wakes up and he's talking about, being tortured and all this and that. This is the first time you really get to see Duchovny like actually be Mulder.
Yeah, he's back on his feet.
Yeah.
Tries to go back to work. There's a great bit with Kirsch and Doggett where I think he tries to promote Doggett.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm a man of my word.
Oh, yeah.
Here's your big promotion.
Yeah.
And he has Skinner tell Doggett, like, I'm transferring you off the X-Files. You're going to get your big promotion, which I guess would have made him one of the deputy directors or a director at the FBI or something like that. But by this point, Doggett's in so deep, and you can tell that he cares about Scully. There's several different moments where you see him sort of watch from like the side how Scully feels about Mulder, and he's like, I wish that was me. Now he doesn't say that, but I get that impression.
I didn't get that at all. Did you get that?
Some of those looks he gave her, he's like,
I saw that.
Yeah, he looks sad or like, but happy that she's happy, and like, so there's
especially
a couple times.
The end of the previous episode when Mulder's in the hospital. And then Doggett's at the door, and he's got this Hain-Dazs brush and walks away.
Yep.
And it's like, I'm not going to get that Stoli Poontang pie.
I mean, I get it. I don't know why. I get it.
But yeah, he doesn't take the promotion. Kirsch is like, I'm trying to throw you a bone here. I'm giving you some rope. Don't hang yourself with it. Like, take this promotion. But Doggett doesn't want to. He cares about the team now. Like, he cares about what's going on. It's not just about the job.
It pretty much leads to the guy we saw in the previous episode, the UFO cult guy, going to Doggett, has a gun on him.
That's right.
Once again to these servers, because the Census Bureau has his evidence. Pretty good for bullet it to the head for a TV
Oh,
show,
yeah.
like pretty graphic
Mhm.
Yeah.
and not CGI. It's crazy they got that. Can't do that for movies, but they do it for a TV show and back then.
This whole season
And,
was like that. A lot of
Yeah,
a lot more
so-
bloodshed than normal. A lot of blood splatter effects, all practical stuff. Except when it came to like the UFO ship in that one episode. But other than that,
Yeah.
all the practical stuff's really good, and it's a lot more bloodshed, especially when you get to Billy Miles chopping people's heads off in camera, in frame.
Yeah, that was
whoa.
amazing.
Yeah.
But
But pretty much in this episode, Mulder thinks Doggett set the guy up.
Mhm.
Adam Baldwin comes in to tell Doggett some info, which he then tells Scully, who then Scully tells Mulder. The lone gunmen are in the episode. Mulder and the lone gunmen try to get into the Census Bureau servers. Doggett finds out that it's all a trick to get Mulder killed, so he tries to save him, and Mulder's like, "You're full of it. Well, if I'm full of it, why am I here?" And then they escape, and then the last shot is Doggett and Skinner talking to Adam Baldwin. We find out Adam Baldwin is one of the
Mhm.
super soldiers, or
He's an alien
this is the best way
replacement.
to put it. Yeah, because
Yeah.
he's got the thing on the back of his neck.
Yeah, the whole super soldier program was brought up by Adam Baldwin's character to sort of
Yeah.
convince Doggett that it's like a program that they worked on out of the Cold War, and it's something that they're still working on. It's military, it's not alien. So, but again, that's his
Universal
character.
soldiers.
Right, exactly. That's just his character sort of leading him in the right direction, maybe the wrong direction. They play with that a lot until you do find out that he is a part of everything that's going on.
See, you needed Dolph Lundgren come in with a necklace of ears and be a soldier. Can you hear me?
Oh man, I love that
do
movie.
a show on Universal Soldier sometime.
I should. I love Universal Soldier.
Can you hear me?
That's Roland Emmerich's masterpiece to me.
I agree.
All right. So episode 17 after that. Oh shit. Yeah, I forgot about this one. It's a Reyes one.
That's what you were talking
It's
about.
real Reyes heavy.
That's when you're talking about with Dodge's son and the way Reyes was interacting. So feel
Okay.
free. What's your honest thoughts? What's your
All right. So let me get this straight in my head about this episode, because I watched it and I was like, all right, this doesn't make a goddamn lick of sense. But
I think this is the one where Scully's in the hospital, like the whole episode.
it is, so you can have this wonderful episode where in the beginning, a dude who was one of the suspects in Doggett's son's death crashes in a car accident. It bursts into flames, and he comes out of it and possesses a fucking dude, basically. And that dude ends up like killing a bunch of people in a firm that he was in, but then he gets fired from. But the real point of the episode is for Raz to walk around and touch these corpses and just have like a split-second flash of whatever that does nothing and tells nobody anything other than she thinks that there's a connection between the guy that died in the car crash and Doggett's son's death. So she drags poor fucking Doggett into this, which the whole episode I'm thinking, she drags his ass into this whole thing about his son and never really like explains it, gives him like little bitty like pieces of information and never explains to him like what the fuck he's doing. So he's just kind of like wandering around. And when he finds out it's about his son, he gets super pissed, as would anybody that has any sense. Like, because you got this half psychic gypsy woman running around, like fucking telling you a bunch of bullshit, like that you don't even
get
know
why he's upset. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also the way she acts, like, you just don't get it, dog. Like she's acting like you just don't want to see.
Exactly. I don't think I necessarily hate her, but I hate like what her character does in these episodes, which is just basically goad people into doing shit that they don't know what's going on.
She's part of the team.
No. Please, no. She's clearly trying to be like a Scully clone too, straight down to the haircut and everything. If it was red, like she would have the same fucking haircut as Scully as well. I don't understand her, like the necessity of her being in these episodes. This episode was not good, and mostly because of her. So that's all I'll say about it. just the stupidity of that idea is baffling to me. And I don't even remember how it ended because I think I turned it off before it did fucking end. So did Doggett begin to believe it? Probably not, because by the end of the fucking season, he still doesn't believe it.
No, not
Well,
really.
one person dies, then it affects like his wife, and then Doggett saves Reyes. It's somehow it was very vague, like an evil that passes if people go through some turmoil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I just remember like
it's based on just evil. I think that was the idea, that evil is transferred from like one person to another after somebody dies.
Yeah,
I
you
just
have to be
remember that
vulnerable or
terrible
something, and then it'll possess you.
that damn effect where the guy does this and he looks like a jack-o'-lantern.
Yep,
With the bad.
looks like fucking Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider. Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
It's like computer lava in his face.
Oh, I know what it looks like. It looks like fucking Sam Neill when he comes back from Event Horizon. And he's like, for the first time, he's got a shit. He's on fire at the end of it. Yeah.
I'll take that over this. Man, it was a story that just I didn't care for the X-File in itself because it was so vague. It's like even Mulder like didn't know what it was. It's like even he's like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, Reyes. It's like, it's and it didn't really. Did it really solve anything about Doggett's son? Not really. It seemed. Did it really tell anything about?
It kind of gave you the idea that, like, I guess this is the evil that was responsible. And that's pretty much it. I think even Doggett at one point says something like to Mulder, he says, like, do you believe this? And Mulder's like, I'm not the best person to ask because I'll believe almost anything. Yeah, they don't really stop it. It just jumps again. And then like the episode kind of ends. But yeah, there's not really a major resolution to anything. So.
But isn't there an episode in season 9 with Doggett's son that doesn't really mention any of this evil stuff, or do they? I'm trying to remember.
I do believe there is something, yeah.
It connects this evil thing?
I don't think it connects to this, but I think there is.
What was the point?
Sorry, well, that's what I mean. Like, there's not really a major resolution, yeah.
The point is that gypsy woman is going to walk around and give half-assed vague kind of statements.
It's like the writer just late night was rewatching The Dead Zone and said, "Oh, psychic, put a psychic in there that touches people."
This is really kind of the epitome of like not knowing what you're doing with an episode. So they made it like as vague as humanly possible about what was going on, and just have her say these little vague kind of snippets of things that don't really connect to anything. That's the look on my face when I was watching this episode.
Robert Patrick does a good job. I like when he slams Mulder against the wall and is rightfully mad. But that's the thing, like with this season, like I don't mind the season but even by this point, I'm missing the Scully Doggett interaction, and that's why I thought that was short lived, and now it's.
Well, I mean, you essentially
trying to put together.
Yeah, you have all 4 of them. I mean, that's a pretty crowded.
That's right. When in doubt.
That sounds like a song from the 70s.
Yep.
Just the gypsy.
The Saxon song. She's on a gypsy.
But yeah, it's a crowded space having all 4 characters involved. Reyes, Doggett. Again, Scully's somewhat taken out of the episode, but she is in it. They go visit her quite a bit and talk to her. So yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that they would have had all 4 of them going forward, even if Duchovny decided to stay. Like, how crowded would it have been? It would have been way too much.
They could have lost her ass, and I would have never even blinked. I would have never even thought twice about it. Okay, so the next episode is holy shit. How am I going to pronounce this? Mark
Vienna.
Vienna. Okay. So
Yes.
this is actually a good one because this is one of the first ones where it's a Dog and Mulder episode.
Mm-hmm.
So, and one of the really good things about this season, honestly, was like when Dog and Mulder were together.
Mm-hmm.
Like they actually had a pretty good chemistry. I don't even think I liked the chemistry between Scully and Doggett as much as I did Mulder and Doggett. To be honest, like, I don't think honestly Scully can carry these episodes. That's one thing I noticed about like when I was watching this season is I think you really need Mulder or somebody in these episodes because the ones where it's primarily Scully, I don't think she can carry a whole episode. Not in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I said that way back earlier, like when we were in one of the other seasons, like that's such a great tandem and a lot of untapped potential there between Mulder and Doggett that isn't explored enough. I mean, it's explored a little bit more in the next few episodes, but I mean, we're like, I think 3 or 4 episodes left till we're at the end of the season, but like, I really wish that there would have been a lot more of that in season 9. There's a lot that they did not get to tap into, and it had all the potential in the world, but it just didn't happen. So
if it was more like the Medusa episode where it was like Scully and Dottie were hand in hand 50-50, I would have been more. And also like with Mulder and Dottie, I agree. They were a good team, but you didn't really see a lot of it. This is one of the only times you really get to see that, sadly. Very few. But yeah, I like this episode as well. I like the oil rig set. Some pretty decent effects of explosions. Not the wide shot, but like the up close when they jump. Those are pretty good. And deals with the black oil again.
Yeah, return of the black oil and last appearance of the black oil.
Of course. Something that important, we're just going to throw it away. It's like,
well, they just run out of shit, man. They run out of things to do with this stuff eventually. Like, I mean, you go through 500 plot lines of, and eventually you just kind of have to abandon those ideas, which I'm kind of thankful for this one being abandoned.
But that's the thing is that if you don't abandon, then you have like a big payoff of stopping in some way, shape, or form. It's just when you build up so much, there's never a payoff.
The X-Files never really did that. Like watching a lot of these episodes, man, there's never really a great payoff for any of the main shit that happens. Like, think about it. So there's not a great payoff for Mulder's sister at all. There's not a great payoff for, a lot of the stuff to do with the alien. There's not a great payoff for the stuff with her kid. Like, it's...
Yeah, Smoky Man. Yeah.
I feel like it just is more about the journey than it is the actual revelations at any of it.
Yeah. We'll talk a lot more on the revivals stuff about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's a whole other 3-hour conversation.
Yeah, they spent a lot of money on this episode, though, for sure, with the explosions and stuff.
That's what I was saying. Like, some of these episodes are like super high production, and then some of them are just kind of there, and that is kind of the way it was.
That Medusa episode, that subway tunnel was all set. They built like the entire Boston subway system.
Yeah,
which cost a lot. So,
all right. Does anybody want to talk about Alone? Because that's one of the last standalone episodes, I think.
Briefly, maybe.
Yeah, reptilian fucking creatures.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
I was just gonna say, it's your typical like guy working on something in a lab, testing it on himself, becomes a creature type of thing.
By this point, Mulder has been fired in the last episode. He's not with the FBI anymore. Scully's on leave because she's pregnant. So Doggett's alone, and he should have been alone because instead you bring a fangirl who is really annoying, and you want her to shut up. There's a lot of other colorful words I could say.
I'll
But
take Reyes over her. She was so bad.
she was almost as bad as Jennifer Lawrence. This girl is just it's just there to remember this episode. Remember this episode. Remember this Easter egg I'm going to mention about this episode. It was like a bad chat room in the 90s or 2000s. Like, you go to like an internet chat room and someone's like, in episode 825, there was this one thing in the corner that was tilted the wrong way.
I have a feeling. I have a feeling that's what Mark did. He's like,
I don't mean that.
In episode 7,
Hey,
13.
I was really active back then, and the internet was so fucking slow back then. Oh my god! But it was still fun to like talk with like-minded people. I mean, there were
message
boards. You guys think I was obsessed? Some of these dudes, like, they know everything, like even beyond me. Like, these guys like can recite Mulder and Scully's badge numbers, and I mean, it's insane. Like, the fandom.
I could never do that. But why do you think they introduced this character that only lasted one episode, thankfully? Like, what was the point of having her in it? Like, what was the thought process?
I'm not sure.
Obviously, they have something competent so that it would screw him up, and then Mulder has to go in to help. But at the same time, it's like, still, why? You have Doggy by himself, or you have all this other stuff.
They should have at least kept him on board until the end and maybe have him leave the FBI in a different way. That's my thing. Like, if Scully's out and Reyes isn't officially a part of the team, then why not just have Mulder in this episode? Because he's in it anyway, and he comes in to save Doggett anyway. Instead of firing him in the last episode for the explosion on the oil rig, just keep his character around. It made no sense.
Like they thought it had to be a guy and a girl team.
Maybe
like, can't just be two guys or two. And yeah, I agree. Mulder and Doggett, you could have had a couple episodes where they're a team. We've seen Doggett and Scully's a team. One's a believer, one's a skeptic still. You could have had the episode be those two. I agree. And it just, I don't know.
Sting of the Scorpion, are you talking about the Agent Harrison character? I vaguely remember that. Is that the Scary Monsters episode? I think that might be the episode he's talking about.
Listen, when we get into season 9, I'm definitely going to have to go back and watch that shit, because that's probably the least shit that I know about any of this is season 9. Yeah, and from what I can remember, it goes downhill pretty quick.
Yeah.
What did you think about that character, Uncle Bill? That fangirl character? That, if you can remember.
I didn't mind it as much. Like, you're right, though. It's super annoying because it's basically just like a human, like, quote machine, and, like, you know, going back and I think, was that what they were trying to do? Was kind of like parody people that are that, you know, obsessed with.
Yeah, in a way, because I think that actual character name was based off of a super fan of X-Files that had died or something, and Carter.
I got that idea that maybe they were trying. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know. I didn't mind that as much. It isn't a super fucking annoying, but I think it was made to be that way, really. So though, there's only 2 episodes left, and that is like the conclusion, which is pretty batshit crazy and pretty awesome of this season. And the first one is Essence, and this is the one you were talking about, Mark, where. So all the stuff with the it's been culminating throughout the season with the doctors and stuff that have been working with Scully and yada yada yada, and the baby that's been, you know, what was her name, Hendershot, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of culminates here because it's this Zeus Genetics company that's working on all these alien babies and embryos and things like that, and So Billy Miles comes in at the beginning of the episode. Is basically he's like, I see that you've like completed this and you've actually been able to, finish it. And so now I'm gonna fucking kill you. So he chops the guy's head off.
Yeah.
And sets the place on fire, sets the laboratory on fire, destroys all the evidence of anything that they ever worked on. And yeah, that's kind of the beginning of the episode. So then Mulder comes up to Dog and he's like, hey, check this out. Remember that place where, we were investigating this other stuff? Well, this is what just happened to it. And that's kind of the push of the episode anyway.
And then you have the annoying Agent Crane from the first 2 episodes. He pops back up and he's like, you don't have to listen to Mulder. He's out of the Bureau. Fuck him.
That's right. Yeah. But there's somebody else way more annoying in this episode to me.
Kirsch?
Nope. He's annoying all the time. They bring in this shitty ass fucking half-baked Lizzie character that's putting shit in Scully's like medication and stuff like that, like for her. Again, with the Rosemary's Baby parallels, they were ripping off Rosemary's Baby throughout this whole fucking season. Like that's what they were doing. Like so much of this stuff like had been done in that movie, and it's another example of it. Like she's supposedly now by the end of this episode, they're like, well, it was just prenatal vitamins and shit like that, but it's a cover up. I'm pretty sure for the fact that she was actually like she was a research scientist or something like that was working with these things and trying to, and so you get the impression that like she's trying to keep this alien embryo healthy or something like that.
Yeah, I think
like the Satan baby that they were trying to keep healthy in Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, she reveals herself to have like worked with like human cloning and testing and stuff, and she obviously knows a lot more about what's going on than what meets the eye, which is the case for damn near every character in X-Files.
Yeah,
everybody always knows something more than what they let on to be. But I really like this one. This one and the second episode after, or the season finale. Billy Miles is Terminator. I mean, pretty much. He's unstoppable. He can cut people's head off with his bare hand. He's so strong that he can pierce metal. There's a sequence where he pierces the elevator doors with Skinner and hits Skinner in the head, and then he slices up through the elevator door. He was a killing machine. It was really fun to watch that whole thing going on.
Which that's clearly Terminator 2, because the T-1000 literally did the same thing, the elevator door. And then Robert Patrick, in it. So I don't know if there's got to be some connection there, maybe not. I don't know. Seems a bit too.
Definitely. I mean, if you remember, so at the end of the episode, I'm jumping forward a bit, but at the end of the episode, they Skinner and Mulder set like a trap on the roof for Billy, and then they throw him off or push him off the roof. He falls into the back of a garbage truck. He gets smashed with the trash compactor. Then they show his body in the morgue. I think it's the beginning of the next episode, and he's like a tub of meat. But inside the meat, there's like a little tiny piece of what looks like something metallic or metal, but it's a piece of his vertebrae. Then it starts to spin, and then it grows bigger and bigger, and you realize it is like a spine. So he is somewhat metallic. So it is very much parallel to Terminator. So I think there's got to be some sort of connection there.
A lot of stuff that happened in this episode too, though, where like the super soldier at the end, that kind of like you find out like it escorts them to safety and all that. The whole thing with Billy Miles, the whole thing with Krychek, that's another thing where he actually runs him over and shit. Like,
yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on in this too. I think they're trying to tie up like everything like in these 2 episodes that they can. And so it gets a little bit like confusing. But
at one point they leave Scully with Krychek so that he can protect her from Billy Miles, which is like, since when the hell is he trustworthy ever?
Yeah, to do anything like that.
And again, he's got one arm. Like, what's he gonna do if they get into a physical fight? I didn't even see. Did he have a gun? I don't even remember him having a gun. What the hell was he gonna do?
What was anybody going to do, though, really?
Well, that's true. The gun wouldn't have stopped Billy anyway.
Yeah.
That's true.
Isn't this the episode, too, where fucking Doggett shoots him twice and is like, that
passed already.
Oh, that passed already?
I think that was per Manum, I think.
Per Manum? Okay. Yeah, I could.
It was either per Manum or... Yeah, per Manum. I think. I could be wrong. It's getting all jumbled in my head. I can't even remember. I do remember like Mulder getting thrown through like a pane of glass and Doggett shooting him twice. So that might have been this episode.
I think it was, but I don't know. I'm not entirely 100%
No,
sure.
I think it is.
All I know is that he shoots him twice and he disappears, and then Doggett's like, he had to be on drugs. It's like 2 shots dead center in the chest too, by the way.
Right.
But whatever. So Existence is the last episode.
Yeah.
And yeah, so this is where you find out, I guess, like as much as you're going to find out about the connection between Scully's pregnancy and the alien conspiracy and all that and yada, yada, yada. And it's these 2 episodes are kind of tied together. I don't know how much you want to get into it, Mark, but you might as well. I mean, this is kind of your area.
Yeah, so we end the last episode with finding out Agent Crane's a part of it as well.
Of course.
They whisk Scully off away to some desolate area. I think they're going through like Georgia, or they might be in Georgia. It's like the place that Doggett was born, some sort of like, it looks like a ghost town. And they have her in there, and like Reyes is going to help deliver the baby, and she's basically her guardian until she gives birth. Meanwhile, everybody else is still back at the headquarters and stuff. Like it all culminates sort of at the end with a huge fight with Crane, Doggett, Skinner, and Noel Rohr. And that chase scene, excellent. I don't know what you guys think about that chase scene. I loved it. The crash, the explosions, just good stuff all around. Again, some of the better action. So mythology-wise, actually, I would say that these 2 episodes, and I guess the first 2 episodes might be the best ones of the season.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I agree with that. Like,
it's bookended really well.
It's the first time that I can really think, well, maybe season like 3, but it's one of the better, like, where the mythology, even though they're really like, what's the word? They're not necessarily confusing. There are sometimes, but there's so much shit in them that it gets a little bit cumbersome to try to figure out. But like ultimately, if you really sit back and watch it, it does actually make sense. And the production values and the fact that it's like filmed really well in the beginning and the end of the season, like kind of make you forgive a lot of this other stuff that happens. So yeah. And really the thing about this season is Doggett. Like
he's the backbone of the season.
Yeah, that's really what makes this season work. If it works at all for people, that's it. Like because Mulder's barely in it. Scully is in it sometimes, but I don't think she does that great of a job throughout the whole season. And Reyes suck a fuck.
We can't forget about Reyes.
No. So you're really left with Doggett. So yeah.
And a lot of Skinner, which was great.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh, and yeah, I didn't mention he kills Krychek.
That's right. Yeah, that's the thing at the end.
There's like a fight between Mulder and Krychek, and he has the gun on him. Krychek has the gun on Mulder, and he says, like, I could have killed you so many times by now, Mulder. You got to know that. Like, I've been praying that you would somehow defeat them and win. I was hoping you would win. I was actually on your side. which again sounds like bullshit
Maybe.
coming from him.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, Skinner intervenes and gets the gun, shoots Krychek once, maybe twice, and then it finally shoots him again in the head. And
that's kind of been coming though, because
Yeah.
like how many times did he screw him over like throughout those seasons, and
Mhm.
that's always kind of been the plan. So maybe that is one
Well,
good resolution to come out of.
mhm.
How the hell did Mulder lose a fight with a one-armed man? Yeah, come on, Mulder. I know you're not, a kung fu master, but like, still a one-armed man.
Yeah, that's why he needed Doggett. Like he needed Doggett.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he had to be his muscle. Like, I mean, he doesn't really. I mean, he always loses his gun. That was always the joke. I get tired of losing
Yeah,
my
he does.
gun, so he has a second gun on like his ankle. But I guess in this instance, he can't carry one because he's no longer in the FBI. But yeah, nothing more I could say about it. Great episode.
Well, the end is the baby. There's a big
Mhm.
Jesus, the three wise men, the lone gunman.
Mm-hmm.
Mulder followed a star. Which that was all pointless because we know where the baby came from.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look back, what was the whole point of all that? Coincidence?
Right.
It's just a bit of coincidence.
Wait. This is the best comment. Wildringer says, I know a guy that got beat up by a one-armed man. Jesus, dude. That's tough. Like,
Yeah.
Like the fugitive?
I feel like you just keep moving to the left or whichever arm he's missing. Like you really can't.
Oh well, the final shot, of course. The final shot of the episode. They have the baby there. Yeah, they finally kiss, they embrace, and everything's done. It's all over. The aliens leave once she has the baby. They don't do anything. Yeah. I mean, what more could you do after this? Oh wait, season 9.
God,
a lot more Reyes. That's
like
what you can
do. I don't remember it well, but I know that it goes badly, and I know there's a lot of Reyes in it, like you were saying, which means it's going to be. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to this because I feel like that Dead Pit is in their element when we're shitting on things, much more so than like praising them. So I feel like this is going to be amazing. Yeah. Season 8. Okay. If I was going to rank it, not against the other seasons, but just in general, I guess I'd probably give it. I give it a 7.
Much better than season 7.
I don't know, man. I really like season 7 though.
Too much comedy in 7 for me. That's the only.
I know. I know you don't like the comedy, but I did like the comedy. I give it a 7 though. I give it a hard 7. Season 8. What do y'all think? Mark, it's your favorite season, so I think I know what you think.
Of course, I'd give it like an 8, 8.5. Pretty high up there for me.
Watch it again. I'm bad with ratings. I'd probably give it a 5.
What?
I watch it again.
I'm fucking hardcore, but
Damn.
I mean, you're not.
I'll hear you out. I want to hear you.
Robert Patrick is really great.
Mm-hmm.
If you took Robert Patrick out, then look at this season. It just would not hold up to me.
Mm-hmm.
If just that one element Robert Patrick was taken out, and you had what was the other? One of them was Hart Bachner was up for it. Ellis from Die Hard, Hans Bubby, I'm your white knight. Like if you put him in it, or someone else, except Lou Diamond Phillips, I buy him. But the whole season, I mean, it wouldn't be bad, but it's just.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Medusa episode. I agree with the mythology episode, but the amount of just trying to do so many things, so it doesn't
gel well.
It feels like 3 seasons in one season. So you have the search for Mulder, and then you have these Scully Doggett, and then you have the trying to do a conclusion, but it's not a conclusion, and then trying to wrap everything up, but then doesn't matter because you got stuff in the future.
Okay.
I'm a sucker for the Monster of the Week episodes the most, and of the first 8 seasons, this I think has the weakest Monster of the Week. Because like the X-Ray one could have been good, it was okay. I didn't give a crap about the Iron Man one. I didn't give a whole lot of crap about the Scully Cole one, except the ending.
It took me a second. Yeah.
It's just when I looked at the standalone, I really like Medusa, and there's maybe one or two others. It's more like I like moments more than the full episodes, and it's only it's a 5 because of Robert Patrick and some of the other elements. I just know it gets worse from here.
Oh yeah,
so
I think much worse.
I was gonna say you give this a 5. I can't wait to see what you rate the last 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say one thing: the last 2 seasons is 0 out of fucking 10. I hate them to death. So that'll be fun again.
It's sort of the reverse with those last 2 seasons, because the mythology episodes are the weakest, and the Monster of the Week stuff's the best. So
well, maybe I'll like it.
I don't know.
I'm kind of the same way though. I kind of like the Monster of the Week episodes, but I like the mythology stuff too when it's done okay. But like really, the main things that I remember about the X-Files were the Monster of the Week and then the early conspiracy stuff. So, I mean, once you get to this point, I completely agree with the fact that there's only like mostly average Monster of the Week episodes in this season. Now, the mythology parts are really, really good, especially the bookend parts. But once you get to the actual standalone episodes, like I don't think they're very good. Like they're not anywhere near as memorable as even some of the stuff from season 7, the standalone ones from season 7.
And while I do like the mythology episodes, again, the fact that the payoff is just completely crapped on in season 10, 11. So the mythologies just don't. When I rewatch the X-Files, other than this, I watch the Monster of the Week. I skip the mythology because while there's some good stuff in there, and I'll skim through it, because I know the payoff ain't worth the spit, ain't worth sweat, ain't worth balls. It's kind of like, okay, I can watch this nice build-up, but you can have as much build-up and there's no explosion. Like this, the blue balls of TV shows. Okay. So I watched the Monster of the Week, and again, this is average, like you said. Like,
ultimately, I think that that's probably what killed the whole show, was just the fact that they didn't have enough good payoffs for these long-ass storylines that they did, and people were just like, I'm not going through this shit again. Like, I'm not going to watch, all this stuff that's this winding storylines that don't go anywhere eventually. And, that's what ended up, it just got really repetitive eventually to where you just kind of, at least I did, just zoned out. Like, everything became the same type of thing where so they bring in Doggett, but like you said, Doggett is basically just Scully from the earlier seasons. And like, he's basically doing the same rhythms. He's just being like, I'm seeing all this shit, but like, I don't really believe it. Like, if there's an explanation for it. And it's like, after a while, that same formula gets tiresome. You just know what's going to happen. You stop like caring about it. And unfortunately, I don't know, because I haven't gone back and watched season 9, but I suspect they do a lot of that same shit in season 9 as well.
And also, as much as I like Mulder and Scully, and nice to see him in the season, I could tell they're just waiting to get the hell out of Dodge. It's kind of that feeling of, okay, she has a baby. There's a reason she don't leave. Mulder, like Dave Duchovny's going to leave. So it's like they're good, but at the same time, you can still tell that, okay, I got 5 hours left of this shit. I got 2 hours left of this shit. It's like you almost see them watching the clock run down until they can be done and move on to other shows, other movies, and such.
I think that's especially true of David Duchovny, though. because I mean, in this season, he's just like not there. He just doesn't.
Mhm.
He doesn't seem to give a single shit about anything that's going on. Like, I just get the feeling he just showed up for maybe like half a day, and he was like, "Let's just get through this shit. Let's try to get through my scene." Yeah.
Mhm. Well, I mean, does that impact you? This is more for Matt. Like, does that impact the
Yeah.
way you see a lot of the previous seasons because of the ending with seasons 10 and 11, where the mythology goes? I mean, I know you said you like more of the Monster of the Week stuff, but like, does that
Yeah.
impact the way you feel about the original mythology episodes? Like, at least in the first, I guess, 7 seasons? Like, does that shift your opinion at all?
If I watch them, I would watch them for the acting scenes,
Okay.
liking David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson in their prime, and I
Yeah.
like watching their acting and their emotional beats.
Mm-hmm.
But the after mythology stories, it's like any other story, like in the scheme of things.
Okay.
For me, it doesn't matter how good a beginning or middle is. The
Right.
ending for me is the most important part,
Yeah. I
because
get
that's where the journey's going to.
that. Mm-hmm.
If it ends up to be a pile of crap or feces or whatever words and colorful phrases, it's like, wow, I'm glad I stuck with you for 8, 9, 10 years, and
Mm-hmm.
where are you taking me? You got my hand. Where are you leading me? You led me off a cliff into a landfill. Oh, yay! Let me spread the feces around and dance in the rain. No, I'd be like, you led me into a blender. You led me into piss and vinegar. I thought they didn't have a payoff. They didn't know where it was going at the final bit, or if they did, network or creators or both saw money signs, so they stretched it out,
Mm-hmm.
and then the revival happened. And even though Mulder was kidnapped by aliens, I don't believe in aliens. Even though you were kidnapped by aliens, but you don't believe in aliens anymore for some reason, and we'll get to that.
You know what it reminded me of, though? Now that I think about it, it reminded me of like WCW and their like dying days, like where they had all these like you had all these storylines and shit that like the thing with Sting and the thing with the Outsiders and all this stuff,
Yeah.
and it just never went. And eventually, this is never going anywhere. Like they have no idea really what they're doing, but they just keep like recycling these same kind of storylines until everybody just fucking gave up.
You said that the Goldberg streak, the Bill Goldberg streak, where is it leading to?
Mm-hmm.
Finger poke of doom.
Yep.
That's it.
The taser.
Tase him, finger poke of doom.
Yeah.
That's all you had.
Yeah. Well, season 9's up next, and you guys remember who plays Monica Reyes' ex-boyfriend in season 9?
No,
who's a part of the FBI, and he's a high-ranking member. I think he might be a deputy director in the FBI.
I don't.
Carrie Elwes.
That's fucking right. I forgot.
That's
yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. Which I never thought he fit. I like him as an actor, but watching him in that season, something was a little off there. I don't know. Maybe it's because he's supposed to have this romantic or on and off again relationship with Monica Reyes. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
You're waiting for him to fight Andre the Giant.
I'd rather watch him do that.
Yeah. Anything that centers heavily on Monica Reyes' fucking gypsy ass is not going to fly in my book. So we'll see. With her, yeah, like he said, like Singing Scorpion said, with her annoying whale sounds. All right, so we're 2 hours and 30 minutes into this son of a bitch. So season 9 will be next time. I can't wait. Like I haven't seen that. I don't remember anything about it. I can't wait to watch Annabeth Gish piss me off some more and just kind of like I can get into some of that with her. And then even further than that, though, like you were saying, Matt, when you get into the revival shit, holy God in heaven, that's going to be.
We forgot about the second movie.
Fucking brutal. Yeah, that's true. So that came out in what? Part 2009,
2008, like a
2008.
week or
Okay.
two
Yeah.
apart from Dark Knight.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that movie had
Realize
no
that.
chance at the box office.
So well, I look forward to reviewing all that stuff soon. So until next time, I'm trying to think of if we've got anything on the Dead Pit main channel coming up. It's funny because most people actually know this shit better than I do.
B
What's
Plan
the-
has something tomorrow, right?
Yeah, Steve always
Captain.
does something on Saturday where he'll do just like a regular show. Usually around 6 because he's got his bedtimes at 7, I think. And then what is the next? What would be the fucking next thing we're doing? Do we have anything planned? I don't fucking know. I'm like Lex Luger. I don't know.
Oh, at some point, we got to do the next physical media show. I don't know when, but
Oh yeah, part 2 of that.
yeah, some
Okay.
point. No rush though, of course.
So yeah, Matt, you're dumping videos like it's fucking pancakes at Waffle House. What's going on?
Well, yeah, I mean, I had like a week in YouTube jail, so I had a lot of videos. So I just put them up now. People sent in paid requests. I don't want them to wait anymore. So that way they're up and people can download, watch, do whatever you want, throw them away, whatever. Download them and just throw them, whatever. So I'm just doing more of those. I'm also, yeah, I'll be doing more. I'll be uploading more, like probably like 3-4 a day just to catch up because I have a lot of stuff to catch up on. And I'm just one of those, I can't help it. I have this thing in my brain that I hate making people wait for it. And people are nice about it. That's more my issue of I don't want to disappoint people. So I don't know, too adamant about it or whatever the hell the word is, the phrase is. But I'll be doing that. And I definitely want to get the Dead Pig guys on my channel sometime soon. But anytime I plan it, like something happens, like there's an ice storm or just a fucking other thing. So
Well,
maybe
right
one
now,
day.
yeah, it's fucking knee deep in tornadoes around here right now. But
Oh shit.
yeah, like I was saying, like I'm, we're game to do it whenever that you want to plan it too.
Ooh.
And Mark, here's the thing, we've been talking about this secretly, probably unknown to you. We're trying in our own subtle ways to get your channel built up too, because we feel like that it will be beneficial to everybody because what you do it well. And
Oh, thank you.
yeah, it would be good for it to get built up and everybody to have a partnership because eventually, it's going to be big if you keep doing what you're doing. So what have you got planned?
I'm trying. So last weekend I uploaded a video, and I have 2 more videos that are coming out this weekend. Probably one Saturday, one Sunday. I think it'll be better to split them up between the 2 days. But yeah, I mean, as far as like reviews go, I've only done one in the last like 2 to 3 weeks. I like doing reviews, but I don't know how good I am. I mean, maybe I could take some pointers from Rambo on that. But I'm mostly
Don't
doing
take it from me.
showcase.
You won't
Nah,
go
man.
anywhere if you take it from me.
Dude, your videos are great, man.
Thanks.
But yeah, I mostly just do showcases. I mean, pretty soon I'm going to be uploading a lot of stuff. Again, it's all showcase videos, steel books, media books, any of my limited edition stuff.
Well, for some reason, the physical media thing is always like the most popular thing. I don't know why that is, but it's like, it just is.
Actually, what you might do is, Mark, if you type it in the chat, maybe then Uncle Bill could highlight it and people could see where to follow you and find you on YouTube.
Ah, yeah.
If there's a way to do that. So that way if people watch the show, they'll see on the screen, like this is where you can follow Stuntman Mark.
Definitely. One sec. Let me see if I can get it on here.
But yeah, Are we going to talk about X-Files, I Want to Believe? Or are we just
Oh
gonna...
yeah, we're gonna eventually get there. Yeah.
Oh, we have to.
So are we going to talk about it, or are we going to do like a commentary on it?
That's a good question.
I'm down for either one. They
Because
both
I could
sound like
imagine
good
do a
ideas.
commentary, and be like, "What the hell is this shit?" It's just so good. So
You
it'd
know-
be up to
Doing a commentary might actually be pretty fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Just
Definitely.
because I remember going to see that movie and like being a huge fan and kind of thinking it was shitty even then. So I can imagine what I would think about it now.
Yeah, I was surprised CK liked it.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, that's one video you guys need to do at some point. The home watch along. What the hell?
Listen, I don't give a shit.
CK said he blames you.
What? I don't know how he blames me. Like, he just won't watch the shit. It's like, am I supposed to go down to his house and put it in there for him? Like, put it in his Blu-ray player? Be like, here. Like,
Yeah, that's.
I
I
guess
don't
I'm
know what's going
slagging.
on.
I don't know. Everybody else has seen it, so everybody's just waiting on his ass to watch it. I don't know what he's talking about. Like, but it's not like
Yeah,
I'm
definitely
setting this
look
stuff up. Like, he's setting it up.
But yeah, definitely we'll look
But
forward
anyway.
to whatever comes out next. So be fun.
So, that being said,
Oh, there we go. There's my YouTube.
There is at Stuntman
all right,
_Mark.
let me see here, put this shit up. I will definitely pin this when I get a chance here.
Thank you, sir.
All right, guys. So I guess we like plan on next Friday, unless some other act of God happens, and it could possibly do that to do season 9, and then at some point I think we should just do a commentary of the fucking movie
Yeah.
because that's gonna just be amazing. So
Oh,
yeah. But anyway, up until that point, I'm Uncle Bill. Check us out on deadpit.com, Dead Pit on Patreon, Into the Dead Pit on Instagram, Into the Dead Pit on YouTube, a bunch of other shit. Buy some stuff. Like the video, subscribe. Go to Rambo Rav's channel. Go to Mark's channel. It's in the chat right now. I'm going to pin it. And we will catch you next Friday at 10 o'clock. We are out.
Give us the thumbs up,
Up you butts.
like, subscribe. And if you subscribe, here's something else you can do. Once you subscribe, you can click the bell notification, right? And it'll notify you anytime that Dead Pit puts up new shit.
Or don't. I really don't give a if you do or
I
not.
want you to. I want you to.
I don't care.
Let's keep our community growing here on
No,
YouTube.
I don't like it. I don't want you to do nothing.
Listen, they need to do that now.
No, don't you
Yeah.
dare touch it.
Thumbs up, subscribe, and click that bell.
Hey everyone, it's Oak Early Jaws. We got some great shirts for you. We got Faces of Death Part 2. We got Creepy Stories to Tell in Kentucky. The Colonel Would Approve. We also got DeadPit.com. We got Dead Pit Radio with the little fucking Dead Pit dude on there. We got It Never Ends, a Halloween spoof parody of the new movie. We got It at Night. We got the Rat Pack, Uncle Rat himself. It just gets better and better, so go on and get you some shirts over at Team Public. It just gets better and better, boss.
Thank you to all of our supporters on Patreon. DeadPitOnPatreon.com is the only place to check out a complete archive of the old Dead Pit radio shows all the way back from 2005 on, in addition to the midweek shows and fan commentaries, exclusive podcasts, and much more. Dead Pit on Patreon.com if you're interested. Tiers start at only $1.